Chapter 1639. If what Yushan said was true, that he really was crippled by Lin Yi, then Houseu had to avenge him. That Lin Yi is really strong. In order to highlight Lin Yi's strength, Yushan didn't hide anything about Naipeo. He told the old man about how Naipeo sucked all of Lin Yi's qi dry, and how he recovered and even broke through. St. Hall, that amazing? He can recover his strength even after losing it? Old Yu started to pay attention to Lin Yi for the first time. It wasn't because of his practitioner's arts, but it was a magical one that could recover strength quickly. It was indeed very strong, but the old man knew that the practitioner's arts had to be compatible with the body. No matter how strong the arts were, without the body, you wouldn't be able to practice it. Not only would you not be able to practice it, but if you forced yourself to practice it, you might go crazy and die. As a result, Elder Yu wasn't interested in stealing other people's arts. Houseu still had a few powerful arts, but they required special constitutions. Houseu's people didn't meet the requirements at all. They couldn't practice it at all. What Old Yu cared about was whether or not Lin Yi had a powerful background. Being able to participate in the Ice Palace test meant that Lin Yi's background wasn't as simple as it seemed. A normal person, or even a normal noble house, wouldn't know about the Ice Palace test, but Lin Yi knew about it and went to participate. This meant that either Lin Yi had a powerful force supporting him, or he had a powerful master behind him. Of course, both of them made sense, since Lin Yi had an ability that allowed him to recover his strength quickly. This made people's imaginations run wild. What shocked Old Yu even more was that Lin Yi dared to go against the everyday sect, even crippling them. This Lin Yi was either too daring, or he had the same strength as the everyday sect behind him. Yes, otherwise, no matter how weak I am, I wouldn't have lost so badly, Yushan said bitterly. Little Chen, investigate Lin Yi's background for me. No matter what, we have to dig it out. Old Yu ordered Yu Shaochen. Father, the truth of this isn't confirmed yet. Shaochen didn't have any particular thoughts about investigating Lin Yi, but his father's order meant that he believed Yushan's words, right? We can slowly determine the truth of the matter. Investigating Lin Yi doesn't necessarily mean that we have to deal with Lin Yi. Old Yu said, let's leave it at that for now. Recently, the Noble House Council will be electing a new Grand Elder. I'll see if I can get the position. Don't come to me for small family matters. Yes. Xiaochen's face turned solemn as he replied. He knew the importance of Old Yu's words. Too, if the Noble House Council really did elect a new elder, then a lot of the rules against the hidden houses could be broken. When that happened, it'd be much easier for Houseu's Earth class to go out and do things. As they were talking, the meeting room door was knocked open. It was Xiaochen's subordinate, Yu Lu. Head, the young master of the hidden house Xiao, is calling, Yu Lu said as he walked in. If it were a normal person, he wouldn't care so much, but the young master of House Xiao, who was also from a hidden world, called him personally. This was a different matter, and so Yu Lu had to send it over as soon as possible. Yu Shaochen looked at his father, who nodded. Go ahead, ask him what's the matter, and ask Yushan about it as well. Yes. Xiaochen quickly picked up. I'm Yu Shaochen, Head Xiao's brother-in-law. I hope you've been well. The two houses were family. Xiaochen's sister, Xiaojin, was Guangyin's wife, so Xiaochen and Guangyin were very close. Head Yu, I'm calling this time because there's something I'd like to confirm with you. Guangyin didn't waste any time, getting straight to the point. Oh, what is it? I have something to ask you as well. You can go first, Xiaochen said. It's like this. With that, Guangyin told him about how Lin Yi's strength was sucked dry by Naipeo, and how he recovered. Then I'll have to trouble you, Head Yu, to ask your disciple, Yushan, and see if this is the case? Oh, there's no need to ask. I was just about to ask you about this as well. Xiaochen didn't think that Yushan wasn't lying to him. This Lin Yi really was strong, but he still asked. I want to ask. My Yushan said that it was my Yu Bing who worked with Lin Yi to beat him up. Is that true? Oh, I've never heard of this before. Is your Yushan all right? How is he? Guang Yin pretended to be concerned, but he didn't really care. His goal was to confirm whether or not Lin Yi was really that strong. He didn't care about anything else. I'll ask my Chiton about this. Why don't I let him tell you directly? All right, that works too. Let Chiton talk to me then. Xiaochen said, I'll ask him directly. Qi was now Lin Yi's follower, and there was no way he'd cause trouble for Lin Yi if Xiaochen asked him. Not only did he not speak up for Yushan, he spoke up for Yu Bing instead. The Ice Palace's test has its own rules. It's fine as long as you don't harm your life. This is a rule set by the Ice Palace. So it's normal for people to get hurt in the test. If I were to get hurt, then I can only blame it on my bad luck. That Lin Yi is strong, but he didn't break the rules. Otherwise, the Ice Palace would have gone after him a long time ago. Qi words were very fairy. He didn't take Lin Yi's side, nor did he take Yushan's side. But the more he was like this, the more trustworthy Xiaochen felt. House Xiao, on the other hand, felt that Qi was a very smooth person. Now that they knew how strong Lin Yi was, if they still encouraged House Yu to go after Lin Yi, they'd definitely blame House Xiao when Lin Yi beat them up. Now that Qi had spoken his opinion, if House Yu still went after Lin Yi, then they wouldn't be able to blame House Xiao. What they didn't know was that Qi considered that Lin Yi hadn't recovered yet and didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Yi. But no matter what, Xiaochen had heard what he wanted to hear. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was just a small fry, and it didn't matter if he went after him or not. The important thing was Yu Bing's innocence. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1640. Now, Qi words proved this point. This was the rule in the test. There was no such thing as intentional or not. If you were crippled, it only meant that you weren't as skilled as the other. Yu Xiaochen was on speakerphone, so he didn't need to explain this time. Everyone in the meeting room could hear it. House Yu's second brother's face was very ugly, but Yu Shan's face was even worse. He didn't think that Qi would go back on his words. After all, they were in cahoots. But thinking about it, Qi words were very objective. Qi identity didn't allow him to lie for him. It would be too much of a risk. All right, things are clear now. Yushan wasn't as skilled as the other, and he was crippled. We'll let this go. If we keep this up, it'll show that we don't know the rules, and if we go after Lin now, it'll be a slap to the Ice Palace's face. Old Yu said faintly, the rules are set by them. You can choose not to participate if you don't agree, even if we want to take revenge on Lin Yi, the ancient sect, every day. And every day we'll take the lead. We don't need to be the first bird. Yes, Xiaochen nodded. As long as Yu Bing's responsibility was removed, he didn't care about anything else. Then, do we still investigate Lin Yi? We still have to. Old Yu said, we can't do anything now, but we'll remember this. We'll deal with it later. Old Yu knew that his grandson was lying, but he was still injured after all. If they didn't take revenge, it'd show how weak House Yu was. Some things had to be said. Yes. Xiaochen nodded quickly. The contents of the meeting weren't any secret. It didn't take long for Yuning to hear it. She heard that Yushan was injured by Lin Yi, and that the house wanted to investigate Lin Yi. She was very worried, but she didn't have anyone to talk to. In the past, when Yu Bing was at home, Yuning could discuss things with him. But now that Yu Bing was gone, she didn't have anyone to talk to. In the family, except for Yushan, no one else could make Yuning open her heart. Even her father and grandfather. Although they loved her, they were not optimistic about her love life. So if Yuning asked them not to deal with Lin Yi, they would probably deal with Lin Yi faster in desperation. Yuning thought of writing a letter to her brother Yu Bing for help. She didn't have the Ice Palace's contact information, so she could only write a letter to the address on the Ice Palace's invitation and mail it out. However, Yuning's approach was really right. If it had been someone else, the Ice Palace would have kept the letter, but Yu Bing and Qijiu were people Xiao Xiao had told to take care of, and so any letters looking for them would be sent to Xiao Xiao immediately. Lin Yi hung up Cheekwin's call and finished condensing the energy ball. These days, Lin Yi had been condensing energy balls, and he didn't even leave the house, so Lin Yi decided to go out for a walk. As he left the room, he saw Tang Yun watching TV in the living room. Lin Yi paused. Lin Yi was focused on condensing the energy ball before, so he didn't notice the commotion in the living room. He was surprised to see Tang Yun. Yun, why are you here? It's nothing. Lin Yi, have you recovered your strength? Tang Yun didn't like what her mother brought up, so she wasn't in a rush to say it. She was just worried about Lin Yi's strength. Templar, 7 by 24 hours nonstop updates, pure handwritten TXT novel, not yet, but it's okay, I'm confident. Lin Yi shrugged on purpose so that Tang Yun and the miss wouldn't worry. That's good. Tang Yun didn't suspect anything. I'm here because of my mother, right? She told me to tell you to come with us to the 80th birthday of the head of the Hidden House Tang. Hidden House Tang? Lin Yi paused. Hidden House Tang? Is it related to your family? Tang Yun's words shocked Lin Yi. He didn't know which Hidden House Tang was, but to be considered hidden, it had to be at the same level as the Hidden House Yu and House Xiao. Tang Yun was from this Hidden House Tang? Why hadn't he heard of it before? My family is just a side branch of the Hidden House Tang, and we haven't been in contact for 800 years. I don't know what happened this time, but they sent an invitation to our family, asking us to go to the 80th birthday of the Hidden House Tang. Tang Yun said helplessly and disgustedly, I don't agree with going. When Dad was sick, Mom wrote a letter asking for help, but they ignored us. Now that we're suddenly invited, I think there's something wrong. So that's how it is. Lin Yi understood after hearing Tang Yun's explanation. The side branch of a big family was completely different from the main family. The simplest example was Dr. Kang's House Kong and House Kang's House Kong. Although they were from the same family, they lived a luxurious life, and House Kong was running a small business. How could they be afraid of gangsters? So he said, Then what do you mean? Do you want to go? I definitely don't want to go, but Mom asked me to bring you there to show off, something about returning home in glory. Tang Yun frowned. I just brushed her off, so I came here to stay. If you don't want to go, then I'll stay here until I get there. Ha ha. Lin Yi knew Mrs. Tang's personality very well. She'd probably been given a lot of cold shoulder back in the Hidden House, and now that her son-in-law was strong, she wanted to show it off. But she probably didn't know what a hidden house was. Hidden houses didn't look up to you just because you had a few companies. They looked up to you. But this was a wish of Mrs. Tang's, and Lin Yi reckoned that she'd take it to heart if he didn't go. Lin Yi hadn't gotten any results from condensing energy balls these past few days, so he might as well go for a stroll. Who knew, maybe he'd find an opportunity to recover. Lin Yi, on the other hand, planned to attend the birthday banquet with Tang Yun as a normal person. This way, he wouldn't stand out and he wouldn't attract attention. Lin Yi said, It's fine to go, but returning home in glory. Ha! I'm afraid they won't look up to our strength. I know. I told Mom that the hidden houses are mainly practitioners different from us, but Mom wouldn't listen. Tang Yun said helplessly, How about we don't go? I'll drag it out, and it'll pass. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1641. Then let's go. I'll see if there's a chance to recover. St. Hall, Lin Yi said. He didn't know when he would stop condensing energy balls at home, so Lin Yi decided to go out for a stroll. Who knows, maybe he would figure something out. You don't force yourself. Tang Yun was still worried. I won't. Lin Yi waved his hand. When do we leave? Maybe within these few days. Tang Yun said. That's good, we can make it. Lin Yi nodded. The reason why Lin Yi agreed was because he wanted to find a chance to recover. Just like before, in the ice palace at the resort, he found a chance to break through. Maybe this time there would be an accident too. Things were settled just like that, and Lin Yi went back to his room to continue condensing energy balls. This time, Lin Yi was just a little bit away. Linny wanted to recover his strength before going to the hidden house Tang. So Linny didn't dare to relax and worked even harder. As for House Xiao, they heard that Lin Yi had offended the hidden house Yu as well. So naturally, they were happy. They didn't need to rush this time. Who knew if the hidden house Yu would help? Guanyin took the phone from Zhao Qikun and sighed. Right? Why don't we spread the news that Lin got poisoned by the 5-step powder? If Lin Yi's enemies go after Lin Yi, we won't have to do anything. Guanyin took the phone and sighed. Right? Why don't we spread the news that Lin Yi got poisoned by the 5-step powder? If Lin Yi's enemies go after Lin Yi, we won't have to do anything. Let them go after Lin Yi. That's hard to say. If we all know, how could the other hidden families not know? We don't know about the remaining noble houses, but they're about to hold the noble house meeting. Who would have the time to deal with Lin Yi? Qikun naturally didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Yi. Holy Church, that being said. What if there's someone we don't know? Boss Shu didn't want to give up. I'll spread the news. I heard that Hidden House Pie and Lin don't have a good relationship. And I heard that Hidden House Pie's disciples were eliminated in the first round of the test. They might not know how strong Lin Yi is, so maybe they'll be the ones to take the fall this time. Not bad. Guanyin nodded. The Hidden House Pie is a suitable candidate. Let's spread the news and see how they react. Qikun didn't want to do this, but there was nothing he could do. There wasn't much he could do to help, but he tried his best. After the meeting, Qikun told Lin Yi about the contents of the meeting, as well as how he failed to convince Lin Yi. Linny, boss, I've tried my best, but my position in the house right now isn't as high as Zhao Qibing's, so I can only tell House Zhao to hold back for now. As for the Hidden House Yu and House Pai, I can't stop them. Ha! It's fine. This is good enough. Linny nodded. He wasn't worried about House Yu at the moment. And with you being there, the Hidden House Yu wouldn't make things difficult for him right now. Their internal conflict hadn't been solved yet, so why would they bother him? Boss Yu had taken the Qi gathering pill for himself, and if this got out, the Hidden House Yu would definitely cause a huge commotion. But Lin Yi had forgotten one thing. Yu Bing couldn't contact the Hidden House Yu at the moment, so this matter couldn't be exposed for now. But the good thing was that the old ancestor of House Yu had already figured out the truth and didn't want to cause trouble for Lin Yi. Lin Yi was temporarily safe. Or else Lin Yi would have to use the super energy ball to fight. But there were a lot of times when a trump card wasn't a trump card anymore after being used too many times. His energy ball, on the other hand, could be used to achieve a surprise victory, but the more he used it, the more people would know about it, and he wouldn't be able to keep it as a trump card anymore. At that time, everyone would be on guard against him, and so he tried to use it as little as possible. At least before he found a new trump card to replace it, it was best not to use it. At the moment, the only one who could see through Lin Yi's move was Bing Tang. The others, including Zhang Naipeo and Feng Nitian, didn't know about it. There was a saying, "You don't even know how you died." Boss, rest well then. Yao Wang might have the antidote for the 5-step disperser, but I can't ask for it. I don't have a good reason, and I'm afraid people will suspect me, Qikun said apologetically. It's okay, you've done very well. As for Qikun's character, Lin Yi had a better understanding of it after this probing. This person was quite loyal, and once he made up his mind to follow him, he wouldn't betray him. This was the type of follower Lin Yi needed. Just like the people around Lin Yi, they wouldn't betray Lin Yi no matter what. Only people like this would be nurtured by Lin Yi, and so Lin Yi had it all thought. If he succeeded in breaking through to Earth class, he'd make Qikun an Earth class as well. This way, he'd be more competitive with Qibing in the Hidden House Xiao. Hey, boss, be careful, Qikun said. In this period of time, try your best to get close to House Xiao. Train some confidence, and I'll give you a surprise, Lin Yi said to Qikun. To his own people, Lin Yi was always willing to give them some benefits. Surprise? All right. Qikun didn't know what Lin Yi was talking about, but something that could surprise him had to be something big, so he happily agreed. As for what it was, he didn't ask. If Lin E didn't say it now, he'd find out when the time came. After hanging up, Lin E decided to go home with Tang Yun. He wanted to look at the invitation himself, see if he could find any clues from it. Truth be told, Lin E felt that this was very strange. As well, the hidden house Tang, who hadn't been in contact with Tang Yun's family, suddenly sent an invitation. What was the meaning of this? Although inviting the collateral children of House Tang to the 80th birthday made sense, what about the 70th? The 75th birthday? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1642. From Tang Yun's tone, she hadn't invited anyone from the side branches of the Tang family. Plus, the hidden Tang family didn't like the side branches very much, as if they were afraid that they would take advantage of them. They only registered their names in the family records and treated them like strangers. So, Linny decided to go with Tang Yun. If it was just a normal birthday banquet, then they could attend it as normal people. They could just treat it as joining in the fun. But if the hidden Tang family had ulterior motives this time, then Lin Yi had to go and see what was going on. If they really did have ulterior motives, then no matter if Tang Yun's family went or not, they would have a backup plan. So Linny might as well go and see what was going on. Mrs. Tang was furious these 2 days. She complained at home. She finally had a chance to return home in glory, but her daughter didn't listen to her and lived in someone else's house. Her calls were just perfunctory. Mrs. Tang couldn't do anything. She complained to Tang Juqing all day long, and Tang Juqing could only smile bitterly. He knew that his wife wasn't like this when they first got married, but time was a knife that mercilessly changed her personality. Before, when they got married and gave birth to Tang Yun, they went to the hidden Tang house to register. It was fine, but Mrs. Tang didn't think much of it. She didn't think that the hidden Tang family would be taken care of. But after Tang Juqing's leg was broken, Mrs. Tang's personality became greedy, stingy, and greedy. But there was no other way. She was a woman supporting a family. Tang Juqing understood, especially when she asked for help from the hidden Tang family. On one side was her own family, and on the other side was her own sister. In the end, the letter was like a stone in the ocean. It was normal for her to be angry at the hidden Tang family. Of course, this was because Mrs. Tang didn't know that her sister wasn't living well. If she knew that her sister was locked up in the cold palace, then she wouldn't think like this. All that was left was sympathy. At the end of the day, Mrs. Tang's personality was forced by life. If she lived a luxurious life, she wouldn't be like this. That was why Lin Yi often brushed off Mrs. Tang's antics with a smile. Tang Yun didn't understand how hard it was for her mother to raise her all by herself, but she'd understand when she became a mother. It wasn't easy for Mrs. Tang. The two arrived at Tang Yun's new house. Mrs. Tang was overjoyed to see that Tang Yun had finally brought Lin Yi back. Her eyes narrowed into slits. Yi, you're here? What do you want to eat? I'll make it. Barbecue? No, Annie, we just ate. Linny forced a smile and said, the main reason I came here this time is to study the matter of the hidden Tang family. Okay. Mrs. Tang knew that Lin Yi had agreed. She gave her daughter a thumbs up. She thought that Tang Yun said something good for her, but it was Lin Yi who wanted to come. Mrs. Tang nagged and told Lin Yi about the hidden Tang family, including how she rolled her eyes at him and how rich he was. Lin Yi listened on the side, not bothering at all. Perhaps Mrs. Tang's unintentional words contained some important information. After all, Tang Yi didn't know what to say. She'd matured quite a bit in this period of time and understood her mother's frustrations. No matter what, her mother was a mercenary, but she still loved her. She'd wanted to give her to Lin Yi for money because her mother had a good impression of Lin Yi. If it was someone else, why didn't her mother change when Zhou Ruoming came to tease her? Tang Yi slowly thought through these things, and she didn't feel as confused about her mother anymore. All she felt now was a little helplessness. Annie, I know a bit about the hidden houses. Lin Yi's other reason for coming here was to persuade Mrs. Tang to give up on the idea of returning to the hidden Tang family and showing off. And so Lin Yi explained the situation of the hidden houses to Mrs. Tang. With our strength, they wouldn't even bother looking at us. Tang Yun had explained it before, but Mrs. Tang trusted Lin Yi's words more. Today's happy life and Tang Juqing's recovery were all because of Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang knew that her son-in-law could do anything he wanted, and he'd definitely make her happy. For example, the lucky draw when buying a house. Lin Yi didn't mind helping Mrs. Tang satisfy her vanity, but this hidden Tang family was a giant after hearing Lin Yi's words. Mrs. Tang gave up on the idea of showing off. I see. Then let's forget about it. We don't have to go. Who cares if they're hidden or not? It has nothing to do with us. Mrs. Tang said, I just don't know how my little sister is doing. It's been so many years and there's no news. I've been spoiling her for nothing. Mrs. Tang didn't care much about other things. She didn't expect the hidden Tang family to give her any benefits. She just wanted to see her little sister. Mrs. Tang had a younger sister and a younger brother. The younger brother's family was also benefiting from it. The younger brother's son, Wei, owed money and wanted to sell his kidney. It was Lin Yi who helped him settle it. Deep down, Mrs. Tang felt guilty towards her little sister. Although she didn't get a reply, when she wrote to her sister for help, Mrs. Tang knew that her sister must hate her. If it wasn't for her wanting to bring her out to play, she wouldn't have been chosen by the head of the hidden Tang family and forced to stay as a concubine. So, no matter what, Mrs. Tang missed her sister a lot. Although she said that, she was still worried. Lin Yi could only smile bitterly at the complicated situation. Annie, your sister? She might not have a good life in the Tang family. Lin Yi could tell from how the head of house Zhao Guangyin, treated Qibing. This kind of hidden house didn't really care about the children of concubines. He didn't know why Qibing was acting all cocky these days, but it was true that he wasn't treated well before. Yeah, Xiaoming must have her own difficulties. Otherwise, why wouldn't she help us when she's so close to you? Tang Juqing didn't think too much about it. Lin Yi is right. The hidden Tang family is very complicated. Xiaoming might not have a high position in the family. Otherwise, why would the servants treat us so coldly when we brought Yun Yun to the Tang family to register our genealogy records? We wanted to see Xiaoming, but we were rejected. From this, we can see that Xiaoming's words don't work. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1643. Tang Juqing understood what was going on, so he interrupted and explained. Chapter 1643. Uncle Tang's right. So I feel like there's a problem with Hidden House Tang suddenly sending out an invitation, Lin Yi said, and told his suspicions to Mrs. Tang. Then what should we do? It seems like we can't go. Mrs. Tang jumped after hearing Lin Yi's words. It was already good enough that she didn't want to use Hidden House Tang's name, but they better not have any ulterior motives. Of course, we have to go. Lin Yi said, It's fine if they don't have any ulterior motives, but if they do, we have to be on high alert. There's no harm in going. I see. Mrs. Tang was a little fearful. She no longer had the thought of returning home in glory, but now she was thinking about how to avoid bringing disaster to her family, Hidden House Tang's guest house. This was the most luxurious guest house in Hidden House Tang, and it was used to receive important guests. Bing Tang, Qing, and Xiao Xiao were living here. Aunt Qing, I want to go see my parents first. I want to sneak a peek at them, see if they're doing well. Bing Tang was a little impatient now that she knew about her birth parents. She couldn't wait until Elder Tang's birthday banquet. Plus, wouldn't it be awkward to meet them in that kind of situation? She didn't know if her parents would accept her, and she didn't know if her sister would be hostile towards her, thinking that she was stealing their mother's love. And so, Bing Tang was very conflicted. As the master of the Ice Palace, Bing Tang's thoughts were a little funny, but at the end of the day, she was still a little girl who wasn't even 20 years old. 7 asterisk asterisk. Sure, if you want to go, Palace Master. Ching will bring you. Ching smiled. What's the big deal? We'll just sneak a peek first. Okay. Then, should we bring Ani? Bing Tang was hesitant at first, but made up her mind after hearing what Ching said. That's fine too, but I wonder if Xiaoming is willing? Little Ching and Xiaoming were of the same generation. So, she directly called her by her name. I'm going to look for Ani now. Bing Tang stood up and went out. Shiji. Xiao Xiao called out to Bing Tang. Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? Bing Tang was still a treasure to Xiao Xiao, and she doted on her a lot. Bing Tang stopped in her tracks and turned around. Holy Church, then, can you bring me along when you go out? I'll go see Lin eat honey on the way. Xiao Xiao ran over and grabbed Crystal Candy's arm, swinging it back and forth. All right, let's go together. Crystal Candy shook her head helplessly. She didn't know where her real parents were. Could she go with Xiao Xiao? She only knew that her father's name was Tang Juqing, and that was what Uncle Da had told her that day. As for her older or younger sister, or the name of her mother that she had never met, she didn't ask, because there was no need to ask about this. So what if he knew the name? What Crystal Candy wanted to see was the person, not the name. As for Xiao Xiao, naturally she didn't know who Tang Juqing was, and she didn't know that he was Tang Yun's father. Only Lin Yi knew Tang Juqing's name, but Lin Yi couldn't call Tang Yun's father's name directly, and he wouldn't tell Xiao Xiao about this if he had nothing to do. So, naturally, Xiao Xiao didn't know that Tang Juqing was Tang Yun's father. Otherwise, she wouldn't be begging Crystal Candy right now. Crystal Candy could come and go as she pleased in the Hidden House Tang, and the mistress of the Hidden House Tang could only stay in the cold palace when Crystal Candy was here. For this, Boss Tang went to comfort her for a long time. As for Xiaoming, she was Crystal Candy's aunt. She would definitely have a position in the Hidden House, but it wouldn't be as high as she promised. But Xiaoming wasn't someone who liked to fight for fame and riches. These days, other than talking to Crystal Candy, she spent most of her time in her room quietly fantasizing about her daughter. Ani. Crystal Candy walked into Xiaoming's room. Crystal Candy, you're here. Xiaoming had also gotten familiar with her these few days. She no longer feared her because she was the palace lord of the Ice Palace. She only treated her as a junior. And the two of them became even closer. And, Ani, I want to see my parents first. Can you come with me? Crystal Candy had been the palace master for many years, and naturally, she was very direct. She didn't procrastinate. Xiaoming paused. She didn't think that Crystal Candy would suddenly suggest this. She was both happy and afraid. She was happy that she could see her sister and her daughter earlier, but she was afraid that her sister would be happy if she knew that she was here to steal her child. In fact, Xiaoming wanted to listen to her daughter's opinion. If her daughter wanted to stay by her sister's side, she wouldn't stop her. As long as her daughter recognized her as her mother, she would be very happy. Ani, don't worry. I'm actually very nervous too. So, after we go, we'll sneak a peek first. When we're familiar with each other, we'll meet again. Crystal Candy said. All right, then it's settled. After Xiaoming heard Rock Candy's idea, she let out a sigh of relief and nodded in agreement. Then I'll go get the address and name from Old Tang now. Crystal Candy saw that Xiaoming agreed and went to Old Tang to get the name and address of her biological parents. Elder Tang did not dare to say a single word of rejection. He quickly got Dabo to find the information and gave it to Crystal Candy. Then Crystal Candy went to the guest house with Xiaoming. Xiao Xiao, where's Linny? Is he far from my parents' city? Crystal Candy asked Xiao Xiao with the information in her hand. My parents live in Songshan. Ha! Xiao Xiao's eyes widened. No way! He's in Songshan too? What a coincidence! Lin Yi's husband is in Songshan. Crystal Candy was surprised as well. She never asked where Xiao Xiao's home was because it wasn't important to her. They didn't talk about it when they chatted, and Xiao Xiao had been busy with her training. She didn't even talk about the city she grew up in. It seemed like it was such a coincidence. That's great, Xiao Xiao said. This time, it's really on the way. It's really on the way. Yeah, I didn't expect that. Crystal Candy nodded. Then let's pack up and get ready to leave tomorrow. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1644. All right, Xiao Xiao said. It's best if we leave today. Right, Auntie Ming's daughter. Is she your cousin or cousin? Ugh. She counts as a cousin or cousin. Xiao Xiao was a bit dizzy. Was this a marriage on top of a family? This relationship was really messy. 7 asterisk, she's my sister. Crystal Candy smiled. She was born a month later than me. Haha, speaking of which, she's the real Crystal Candy, and if I wasn't switched, I'd be called Tang Yin now. Wah. Xiao Xiao jumped up, as if her tail was stepped on. Senior sister Crystal Candy. What did you say? What's your sister's name now? Crystal Candy, Qing, and Xiao Ming were confused by Xiao Xiao's sudden reaction. What was wrong with her? Why was she so surprised? Tang Yun, what a nice name. Crystal Candy looked at Xiao Xiao oddly. What's wrong? Xiao Xiao, could it be that you know my Tang Yun sis? Ugh, I do know someone, but I don't know if she's the one you're talking about. But it seems like it. Xiao Xiao's face was even weirder. No wonder. I felt that you looked so familiar the first time I saw you. Sometimes your expression is so familiar. You're actually Tang Yun's sister. You really know her? Crystal Candy was very excited as she asked, then what kind of person is she? Is she easy to get along with? Is she hard to get along with? Crystal Candy's heart was beating like a drum at the same time. She didn't know what kind of person her Tang Yun sis was. What if she wasn't easy to get along with? Looking at Crystal Candy's worried face, Xiao Xiao understood why she was worried. She couldn't help but laugh. He. What are you laughing at? Crystal Candy paused, not knowing what Xiao Xiao was laughing about. Does she think that my appearance will take away her motherly love? I know her personality the best. Xiao Xiao paused, purposely keeping Crystal Candy in suspense as she looked at her worried face. Holy Hall, Xiao Xiao. Hurry up and tell me. You're making me so anxious. Crystal Candy looked at the silent Xiao Xiao and started panicking. Hurry up and tell me. What's her personality? She's Lin Yi's husband's first wife. Xiao Xiao said. Ah. Crystal Candy's eyes went wide. Xiao Xiao, what are you talking about? What, Lin Yi's husband's first wife? You're saying that Tang Yun sis is Lin Yi's girlfriend? Then you. Of course, I'm the small wife. Xiao Xiao said matter-of-factly. Xiao Xiao, I'm a little confused. What are you talking about? Rock Candy felt dizzy. You mean Lin Yi has 2 girlfriends, my Tang Yun sister is one, and you are the other? Is that so? Because it was about her daughter, Xiao Ming's ears perked up. Hearing that her daughter was with another woman and a man, she couldn't help but feel sad and worried for her daughter. She knew Xiao Xiao's identity, the next leader of Ice Palace. What kind of powerful background did she have? In the hidden house Tang, she was ostracized and thrown into the cold palace because Boss Tang's wife was from the hidden house you. And now that Lin Yi's girlfriend was the next leader of Ice Palace, would her daughter have a good life? She couldn't help but worry at the thought, but she didn't know the situation and couldn't just ask. Yeah, you're so smart, Crystal Candy sis. Xiao Xiao nodded. I like Lin Yi, honey, but I was sick and dying, and Tang Yun sis took pity on me, so she let me be Lin Yi honey's small wife. Do you think she's easy to get along with? Ah, no way. Rock Candy felt a little dizzy. If it was like what Xiao Xiao said, then Tang Yun was easy to get along with. Too easy to get along with. Wasn't this person a little too kind? Just because Xiao Xiao was sick and dying, she was willing to share her husband with someone else? According to what Xiao Xiao said, she wouldn't have any bad feelings towards her if she just accepted him as her parents, right? Why not? She's very kind, Xiao Xiao said. Tang Yunsis is a very good person. I like her the most. Ugh, that means she won't have bad feelings towards me. And Ani just because we're here? Rock Candy asked carefully. Of course not. You'll know when you get there. Tang Yunsis is a very nice person, and if she knew she had a sister like you, she'd be very happy. Xiao Xiao said. Okay, that's good. Rock Candy let out a breath of relief. We'll leave in a bit. After hearing Xiao Xiao's words, she didn't have anything to worry about anymore, and she couldn't wait anymore. Xiao Ming, on the other hand, breathed out in relief as well. It seemed like Xiao Xiao and her daughter's relationship was very good. This way, her daughter wouldn't be bullied by her anymore. And from her words, she could tell that Xiao Xiao raised Tang Yun. This made Xiao Ming even happier, as long as her daughter was happy. As for having multiple wives and concubines, Xiao Ming was quite open-minded about it. She'd been hidden in House Tang for so many years. How could she not understand this? But a coward like Boss Tang would only be afraid of House Yu's power and leave her alone. But Lin Yi wasn't that type of person. She could tell from Xiao Xiao's tone that Lin Yi was a very opinionated person. And Xiao Xiao wouldn't make things difficult for Tang Yun, just because she was the next sect master of Ice Palace. Your first wife and second wife getting along so well, it's quite rare. Xiao Ming couldn't help but sigh. Hee hee, of course it's good. There's a second wife and first wife waiting to take over, Xiao Xiao said, but Linny Honey hasn't accepted them yet. Ah, there's a line? And it's a couple? Rock Candy felt weird. What was so good about this Lin Yi? Why was he so popular? There was a line? Yeah, but I'm pretty close with the second wife, and Tang Yun Sis is pretty close with the first wife too. They'll probably become Lin Yi Honey's second wife in the future. Xiao Xiao said nonchalantly, but it doesn't matter. The four of us are very close, and we've been living together all this time. We were originally two groups, but now we're one group. Rock Candy was speechless, and Xiao Ming was even more speechless. Did these two groups of people become one? Why was this Lin Yi so popular? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1645. But neither of them had experienced love before, and they hadn't felt the magic of love, so they didn't have much of a say. Xiao Ming already had a child, but when it came to love, she'd only dreamed of it, not experienced it. Hee hee, but I'll be able to see Lin Yi Honey soon. I'm so happy, Xiao Xiao said. Man, I left in a hurry this time. I wonder what good stuff the Ice Palace has. I should bring some for Lin Yi Honey and Tang Yun Sis. Cough. Xiao Xiao. You're the future palace master of the Ice Palace. You can't be helping an outsider. Bingtang coughed. I don't? Since I'm the future palace master, then the Ice Palace is my family's, and that means it's Lin Yi Honey's. Is there a difference? Xiao Xiao asked. Bingtang suddenly regretted making Xiao Xiao stay. Was she inviting a wolf into the house? This girl wasn't even the palace master yet, and she was already thinking of taking the Ice Palace's assets. Wouldn't she have to move? But Bingtang knew that Xiao Xiao was mostly joking, so she wasn't annoyed. Haha, when you get to Sky Class and go after higher realms, you won't care about these things anymore. Yeah, but at that time Lin Yi Honey has to become Sky Class, or I'll be bored myself, Xiao Xiao said. Holy Hull Xiao, Ming was a bit envious of Xiao Xiao. Happy for her daughter as well. It was the same type of girls who fell in love with the same man, but their lives were completely different from hers. They were from two different worlds. Their lives were filled with love and sunshine, and they lived in harmony. She, on the other hand, in Hidden House Xiao, her position was lower than a servant. Luckily, Bingtang was here, and she had freedom. To be honest, she didn't have any love for Boss Tang anymore. She had looked forward to it when she accepted her fate, but now she didn't have any feelings for him at all. She even wanted to leave Hidden House Tang, if she could, but she was afraid that her sister and brother-in-law wouldn't accept her. She was afraid that they would think that she was trying to snatch Tang Yun away from them. Xiao Ming couldn't help but sigh. She was a little lost about her future. Ani, you don't have to worry. I heard from Xiao Xiao that my Tang Yun sis is a reasonable person. She's easy to get along with. With Xiao Xiao's help, we won't be discriminated against or bullied. Rock Candy said, since Xiao Xiao is so confident, we don't have anything to worry about. Yeah, Aunt Ming, it's fine. Tang Yun sis and I are the best. Xiao Xiao comforted. You'll know when we get there. With Rock Candy and Xiao Xiao's persuasion, Xiao Ming calmed down a little, and so the four prepared to leave. As for Rock Candy going to Songshan to see her birth parents, old Tang, naturally, wasn't too willing. If Rock Candy went alone, she would be bypassing the Hidden House Tang. To be honest, she didn't have much to do with the Hidden House Tang. At that time, the Ice Palace would definitely distance themselves from the Hidden House Tang. This wasn't the result old Tang wanted to see. So, after Rock Candy and the others left, old Tang once again gathered the family members and held a short family meeting to discuss how to maintain a good working relationship with the Ice Palace in the future. Old Tang sat there with his head down, not saying a word. He had been feeling very wrong these past few days. She was his daughter, but now she wasn't. In order to maintain his position as the head of House Tang, he had to go back and hug House Yu's thigh, getting mocked by Yu Xiaoxin. As for Xiao Ming, he wasn't that enthusiastic anymore. No matter what, Xiao Ming was only Rock Candy's aunt. If he tried to please Xiao Ming, it wouldn't be of much use. Rock Candy didn't even acknowledge him as her uncle. A father and an uncle were worlds apart. If Rock Candy didn't recognize him as her father, he still had a chance to slowly repair the relationship. After all, they were father and daughter. But if it was her uncle, there was no hope at all. So, when Xiao Ming left, old Tang let out a sigh of relief. If she left, then so be it. This time, he had a reason to let Yu Xiaoxin out of the cold palace. Old Tang, tell me, how can we let the Ice Palace master keep taking care of our hidden Tang family? The duck that was about to be cooked flew away. Now, I'm afraid we're just like the Ice Palace's vassals. She only treats us as her eyes and ears, not as her confidants. She can just leave us whenever she wants. This kind of relationship is too unstable. Old Tang was an understanding person. We and the Ice Palace don't have any beneficial relationship. It's very easy for us to part ways. Father, I can't do anything about it. Old Tang smiled bitterly. If the sky wants to rain, the mother will have to marry. This is an unchanging truth. Rock Candy doesn't have much of a relationship with our Tang family anymore. It's not realistic to expect her to always take care of us. Plus, the Ice Palace doesn't seem to be lacking in money. They don't need us to help them manage their business. It's really difficult. Big brother, you're wrong about that. Before old Tang said anything, second brother spoke first. That Tang Juching, isn't he also a branch of our Tang family? He's considered one of us. We can give him a villa nearby. That way, when his whole family moves here, the Ice Palace master can come back to visit when she misses her parents. This way, she'll have more opportunities to interact with our hidden Tang family. Won't this kind of relationship be nurtured slowly? That makes sense. Old Tang nodded after hearing second brother's words. Second brother, you're not bad. You have some brains. It's decided then. Dad, the villas around here cost tens of millions to hundreds of millions. Spending such a huge investment. Eldest Tang did not usually have much money in his private savings. Although he was the head of the family, he still had Grandpa Tang above him. Therefore, he only had a few million a year. Spending tens of millions to buy a villa for Tang Juching was a bit of a loss. Compared to the Ice Palace master's special treatment, what's 100 million? I'll buy it, old Tang said. Just as Lin Yi and Tang Yun's family were about to leave, a couple of uninvited guests arrived at the Chu Villa. Of course, one of them surprised Lin Yi. When Lin Yi opened the door and Xiao Xiao threw herself into his arms, he was a bit stunned. Xiao Xiao? You're back? Lin Yi was only a golden class late phase peak, but dodging Xiao Xiao's pounce was a piece of cake. He didn't dodge because he recognized her. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1646. Lin Yi, honey, did you miss me? Xiao Xiao was very excited to see Lin Yi. It was only half a month, but it felt like 3 years had passed. Of course I did. Lin Yi let Xiao Xiao hug him, shocked. You're a golden class early phase already? Yeah, I'm only golden class early phase, still far from you. Xiao Xiao was a little dejected. She'd planned to come back and show off to Lin Yi when she became a sky class, but now that she had the chance to come back and visit her family, she decided to come back first. Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yun heard the doorbell as well. Lin Yi came out first, and they followed right behind him. They were surprised to see Xiao Xiao hanging on Lin Yi. No way, Xiao Xiao, you're a sky class now? Yushu's eyes went wide as she looked at her former partner with a bitter face. I'm still a normal person, and you're already a master. The prank duo has to disband. Ha! We can't disband. Xiao Xiao couldn't hang on Lin Yi anymore now that the girls were here. She jumped off Lin Yi and smiled at Yushu. Old partner, long time no see. You're bored without me, right? Yeah, I don't even know who to mess with. I can't mess with Shield Bro. Can I? Yushu nodded. You're not leaving now that you're back? Going to university with us? I can't. I'm only here to visit family with Bingtang sis. I'm only golden class early phase now. I still have to go back. Xiao Xiao shook her head. I need to be sky class to fully unleash my cold attribute, and I won't be bothered by the cold energy anymore. I see. Yushu was a little disappointed. Bingtang, that girl, is here too? Lin Yi was a little surprised. Isn't she an orphan? Why is she visiting family? Does she have relatives in Songshan? Who are you calling a little girl? Before Xiao Xiao could say anything, a cold voice sounded. Crystal Candy was already standing in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi was startled by her sudden appearance. He thought to himself that this heaven stage expert was no different from a ghost. She was soundless, and he couldn't sense anything at all. However, Lin Yi wasn't afraid of her now. He said indifferently, If you're not a little girl, then are you a man? Do you want to die? Crystal Candy was pissed off by Lin Yi's words, but because of Xiao Xiao, she couldn't do anything. Plus, it wasn't just Xiao Xiao's relationship right now. There was Tang Yun as well. If she really touched Lin Yi, then she wouldn't be able to recognize him anymore. So, Bingtang could only give in and glare coldly at Lin Yi, but she didn't make a move. Holy Church, Lin Yi was just saying it casually. He didn't think that Crystal Candy would really endure it. He felt a little strange. Originally, Lin Yi wanted to use Crystal Candy's anger to show off his golden class late phase peak strength. Then, Crystal Candy would be confused as to why his strength dropped, and Lin Yi would have a reason to ask Crystal Candy how to deal with the 5-step dispersion. Even if Crystal Candy didn't ask, Xiao Xiao would ask anyway. But Crystal Candy didn't give Lin Yi the chance. Without a reason, Lin Yi couldn't just ask Crystal Candy like this. He wasn't that close with her, and asking her like this was a little embarrassing. Back then, Lin Yi had told Bingtang and Qing that a hero's background didn't matter, and that he would definitely become a golden class refiner within 2 years. But now, not only did he have no clue how to become a refiner, his strength had dropped. This made Lin Yi feel very embarrassed, especially in front of Crystal Candy, a sky class late phase peak girl. I'm living pretty well for now. I can't die before I fulfill my promise, Lin Yi said. Humph. Crystal Candy laughed coldly after hearing Lin Yi's words. Purposely showing your golden class late phase peak strength for me to see? Ugh. Lin Yi didn't expect his plan to be discovered by Crystal Candy. He felt a little awkward. I've been poisoned recently, and my strength has dropped. Poisoned? Xiao Xiao was shocked. Linny, honey, what poison did you get? Are you okay? 5-step dispersion. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. My strength can only reach golden class late phase peak for now. Once I reach mystic, my strength will quickly disappear, and I'll become a normal person. That's strong? Xiao Xiao started and quickly turned to Bingtang. Bingtang, sis, do you have a way to cure it? Hurry up and help Linny, honey. Lin Yi was happy. Xiao Xiao was the one who brought it up. This way, Lin Yi wouldn't lose face in front of the Sky class girl. If Bingtang was an elder, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't be ashamed to ask her questions. But the problem was that Bingtang was just a little girl around his age. Asking him to be so thick-skinned as to ask all this and all that, Lin Yi felt a little awkward. 5-step dispersion? You can't even cure such a simple poison, and you still want to be a refiner? Crystal Candy looked at Lin Yi mockingly. I can, but there's spring grass. I don't have it right now, Lin Yi said, unwilling to back down. Crystal Candy nodded. It seemed that Lin Yi wasn't completely clueless. Since he knew about spring grass, naturally he knew how to cure the poison. Crystal Candy, sis, do we have spring grass in the Ice Palace? Xiao Xiao asked quickly. Crystal Candy patted her forehead, feeling a little dizzy. Xiao Xiao, we don't grow spring grass in the Ice Palace. Plus, spring grass only grows in spring, and it's only effective when it's fresh. It's already withered now. So that's how it is. Xiao Xiao understood now. No wonder Lin Yi didn't have the antidote yet. He didn't have the ingredients for the antidote. But she didn't give up. What do we do now, Crystal Candy sis? There's nothing we can do about it. We'll just wait until next spring. Maybe your husband has a better solution. Crystal Candy said faintly, he's really amazing. Even a Sky class girl like me can't do it. There's no other way. As long as you break through to Earth class, the poison will be cured. But breaking through from Golden class late phase peak to Earth class is a little difficult. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I've been trying, but there's no result yet. Lin Yi's words surprised Bingtang. Golden class late phase peak to Earth class, all of a sudden? Only inheritors could do that, right? How could one break through so many levels with other methods? Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1647. Bingtang sis, do you have any ideas? Xiao Xiao asked. For example, can we give some of our qi to Lin Yi's honey and let him break through? How is that possible? Our practitioners' arts are different. Do you want to freeze him to death? Let me think about it. Let's not talk about this for now. Bingtang shook her head helplessly. She understood that Lin Yi was in trouble, but he didn't want to say it because of his pride. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, cooperated and said it for him. Yeah, let's go in first. Xiao Xiao suddenly remembered that the main purpose of everyone coming here was for Auntie Ming and Bingtang to reunite, so she quickly said. When Bingtang appeared, Tang Yun stood not far away and looked at her. She felt a sense of familiarity, as if she had met her somewhere before, but she was sure that she hadn't. Since she was Xiao Xiao's senior sister, then she was the palace master of Ice Palace. How would Tang Yun know such a high and mighty person? The moment Xiao Ming and little Qing walked out of the car, not far away, Tang Yun's gaze paused on Xiao Ming. That moment made her feel a little suffocated. If the previous rock candy gave her a familiar feeling, then this Xiao Ming who appeared later made Tang Yun feel a sense of closeness as if they were connected by blood. It was a sense of closeness that came from the bottom of her heart. She stood there in a daze, not knowing what to do as she stared at Xiao Ming. Xiao Ming's gaze was on Tang Yun from the start to the end. She didn't need anyone to introduce her, nor did she need to confirm. She could already confirm that this girl was her daughter, Tang Yun. This sense of closeness was even stronger than when she first met Rock Candy. If it weren't for her worries, Xiao Ming would have rushed up and hugged Tang Yun and cried. It had been almost 20 years, and this was the first time Xiao Ming saw her own flesh and blood. She was still alive, and just like Bingtang, so beautiful. Xiao Ming was so excited that she couldn't even walk properly. Little Qing reacted quickly and held on to Xiao Ming, bringing her over to Lin Yi's side. Tang Yun was surprised, but she was surprised that Xiao Ming seemed to be looking at her. He looked at her, and she looked back at him. Yao Yao, look at that person. Tang Yun held Ming Yao's hand guiltily, gesturing towards Xiao Ming's direction. At first, Chu Mengyao didn't notice this, but after Tang Yun's reminder, she followed Tang Yun's gaze and looked at Xiao Ming in surprise. She then turned to look at Tang Yun, and a strange expression appeared on her face. Mengyao didn't know how to put this into words, but the two looked very similar. Lin Yi noticed Tang Yun's weird behavior as well. He followed her gaze to Xiao Ming and frowned. He turned to Xiao Xiao and asked, Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? That person. Husband Lin Yi, let's go into the house and talk. Xiao Xiao didn't know how to broach the subject either. This was something they could talk about when they sat down in the house. Lin Yi nodded. His instincts told him that Bingtang's sudden visit wasn't as simple as it seemed. Family visit? What family visit? Thinking of Xiao Ming and Tang Yun, Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. Bingtang's family visit wasn't for Tang Yun, was it? Ever since Tang Yun got involved with the hidden Tang house, Lin Yi had been very suspicious. He didn't dare make such a bold guess, since Tang Yun and Bingtang's identities were worlds apart. How could they be related? But now, if Tang Yun was related to the hidden Tang house, then it might be related to Bingtang. The group entered the living room and sat down. Bingtang took a deep breath. Even as the sect master of the Ice Palace, she was a little nervous. But Xiao Ming didn't have much experience, so it was best for her to explain at a time like this. She had to have a topic to explain, and Bingtang couldn't help but look at Xiao Xiao for help. Haha, senior sis, leave it to me. But you need to help with Lin Yi, honey. Xiao Xiao took the chance to extort. All right, I'll think of something. Bingtang was being blackmailed, but she could only accept it. Lin Yi, honey, Tang Yun sis, Yao Yao sis Shu, let me introduce everyone. This is my senior sis, Bingtang. She's Auntie Qing, an elder of our Ice Palace, and she's Bingtang's sis's aunt. Xiao Xiao introduced everyone before continuing. This time, Bingtang's sis and Auntie Ming are here to visit family, and I'm here to visit everyone. Visit family? Aunt? Lin Yi frowned. Didn't the sect master say that you were an orphan in the Ice Palace? How come you have an aunt now, and you're here to visit family? And through the hidden Tang family, I found out about my identity. I came here this time to see my biological parents, as well as the little sister who was supposed to be my aunt's daughter, but became my parents' daughter by mistake. Bingtang said guiltily as she looked at Tang Yun. Tang Yun seemed to have sensed something, and her body shook. She looked at Bingtang in disbelief, and then at Xiao Ming, guessing what was going on. Bingtang couldn't be talking about her. Could she? Bingtang's parents were her parents. As for Xiao Ming, she was his mother. Bingtang's hint was very obvious. And if Tang Yun could tell, so could Lin Yi. He smiled and held Tang Yun's hand, telling her not to be nervous. Sect Master, you're not saying that Tang Yun is your sister, are you? Tang Yun's face changed slightly, and Bingtang took a deep breath. Xiao Xiao interrupted. It's actually like this. Bingtang sis is Tang Yun sis's cousin, and Auntie Ming is Tang Yun sis's birth mother. It's very simple. It was a complicated relationship, but it became a lot easier after Xiao Xiao pointed it out. In an instant, everyone went silent, especially Tang Yun, who held onto Lin Yi's hand, not knowing what to do. Xiao Ming and Bingtang were a little better, since they'd already been shocked. Since they came here, they were prepared, but Tang Yun was the one who couldn't accept it. Everything was fine. And suddenly she had a mother and a sister of the sect master. Tang Yun didn't know what to say. She looked at Lin Yi nervously and only managed to say 2 words. Plen tips, target equals, underscore blank. Chapter 1648. Tang Yun, don't be nervous. I don't have any other intentions for coming here. Xiao Ming saw how panicked Tang Yun was and quickly said, we didn't go to you and brother-in-law's place because we wanted to consider your feelings first. If you can't accept it, then we'll forget about it and pretend it never happened. I'll leave. No. Tang Yun's heart ached when she heard that. This was her birth mother. She hadn't seen her for so many years, and now that she saw her again, how sad would she be if she rejected her? Of course, Tang Yun also felt that Xiao Ming and Rock Candy wouldn't lie to her about this. After all, there was no benefit to lying to her. Science was so advanced, and there was DNA testing. It was easy to see through a lie. 7 asterisk. And so, Tang Yun subconsciously said no. She did feel a sense of closeness towards Xiao Ming, but she just couldn't accept it right now. This matter is complicated enough. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. It was simple, but the complicated part was the relationship between everyone. Tang Yun sis, don't worry. Senior sis is a good person, and she only came this time to see your parents, her birth parents. After that, she'll go back to the Ice Palace. It won't affect your lives. Xiao Xiao explained for Rock Candy, but if you don't want to, it's fine too. No, it's not that I don't want to, but it's too sudden, and I can't accept it all at once. Tang Yun shook her head. No one would be able to accept this. Even Lin Yi would be shocked for a long time when 2 people suddenly appeared and said they were his parents, let alone a girl like Tang Yun. Holy Hall, then think about it, there's no rush. We'll talk about other things after you think about it. Rock Candy said softly, Tang Yun sis, let Xiao Xiao stay with you. Ani and I will wait for you in the living room. Crystal Candy gave Xiao Xiao a look, telling her to help out and persuade them. She was the only one who could help them now. Tang Yun sis, we haven't seen each other in a long time. Let's go have a chat. With that, Xiao Xiao pulled Tang Yun's hand and walked upstairs. She knew the structure of the villa like the back of her hand, since she used to be a part of this place. Lin Yi didn't follow up. Instead, he said to the Miss and Shu, Yao Yao, Shu, you guys go up and help Yun Yun. She's never been through something this big before, so she definitely doesn't have any ideas. The Great Wall. All right. Meng Yao didn't hesitate and pulled Yushu upstairs. In the living room, only Lin Yi, Rock Candy, Qing, and Xiao Ming were left. Lin Yi, you're living quite the life for beauties, Rock Candy said sarcastically after the 4 girls went upstairs. She wasn't a stranger to having groups of wives and concubines. Many ancient sects and families were like this, but that was because they had the strength to do so. Lin, he was just a small freelancer, and he was weak as well. Yet he had so many beauties, and one of them was the future palace master of Ice Palace, and the other one was her own cousin. This made Rock Candy a little uncomfortable. If Lin was a sky class, she would accept it. Or if Lin was an advanced refiner, that was an even more popular profession. It wouldn't be surprising if he had 100 wives, but Lin was nothing. It's all right. Lin didn't seem to hear Rock Candy's sarcasm and said faintly, don't you think that I'm weaker than you, so you look down on me? Rock Candy felt a little awkward at Lin Yi's bluntness. It wasn't that big of a deal before. Why would she care about Lin Yi's thoughts? But it was different now. With Xiao Xiao here, Bing Tang had to give Xiao Xiao some face, right? Now that Tang Yun was here, Lin Yi's identity was equal to Rock Candy's brother-in-law. Rock Candy really couldn't belittle him too much. So what if I am? To be honest, with your current strength, you're not good enough for Xiao Xiao. But Rock Candy was a prideful person, and since Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun weren't here, she didn't hold back. Then, with your vision, what kind of person is good enough for Xiao Xiao? Lin Yi asked with a smile instead of getting angry. Sky class late phase peak, or a golden class third level refiner, and above, Rock Candy said. Oh, then what kind of person is good enough for you? Lin Yi couldn't let Rock Candy tease him all the time, so he would tease her at the right time. Surpassing me in strength and being a mystic first level refiner, Rock Candy said. Hearing Rock Candy's words, Lin Yi couldn't help but find it funny. Rock Candy was now a Sky Class Late Phase Peak Master. Surpassing her was the legendary Heaven's Path. As for whether there were levels after that, Lin Yi wasn't sure. As for a mystic first level refiner, that was also a legendary existence. It was hard to say whether or not they existed in reality. Ha ha! Lin Yi smiled faintly. Is it funny? Rock Candy was just purposely making Lin Yi angry. She knew that this kind of person was hard to find, but she didn't have any thoughts of choosing a partner right now. Her ultimate goal was to pursue Heaven's Path. Once she entered Heaven's Path, her lifespan would be extended. Even if she wanted to find a partner, it had to be of the same level. From what I see, only I can reach this level. You need to pray. If I can't reach it, you'll be a widow for the rest of your life, Lin Yi said with a troubled expression. Puffed. Rock Candy heard Lin Yi's words and almost burst out laughing. Ha ha! Lin Yi, you're really arrogant, you? What about me? Lin Yi said with a serious face. You want to take in all the sisters? Senior sister, junior sister, cousin? That's a lot of names. Rock Candy pouted. I order them according to the order of entry. I don't care if you're a senior sister, cousin, or cousin. After you enter the door, you'll be my little wife. Lin Yi said, Good, very good. Rock Candy was amused by Lin Yi. Then I'll wait for the day when I become your little wife. Actually, you look pretty good when you smile. You're usually so cold and boring. Lin Yi looked at the little dimples on Rock Candy's face and said. Rock Candy put away her smile and said faintly, The joke is over. Lin Yi, remember what I said. Xiao Xiao can't wait for you for too long. Also, you promised me the Ice Heart J-Bone pill. If you don't have it, then I can only let Xiao Xiao be the inheritor. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1649. I'm not joking with you. I'm telling the truth. Lin Yi said. Which one? You want to surpass me in strength and become a mystic first-level refiner? Candy frowned. Oh, I guess so, but I'm mainly saying that you need to smile more. My Xiao Xiao loves to smile. I don't want her to become a cold beauty because of you, Lin Yi said. Are you done? Bing Tang gnashed her teeth in anger. I am, Lin Yi said. In the room upstairs, Tang Yun stared blankly at the blue sky outside the window, not saying a word. Xiao Xiao held her hand and sat beside her. Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, didn't know what to say. This was someone else's family business, and it was the hardest thing to get involved in. They understood how Tang Yun was feeling, but this knot in her heart had to be solved by herself. So no one said a word. They stayed with Tang Yun until the sky turned dark. Meng Yao walked over and turned on the lights when the room was completely dark. Holy all the lights seemed to wake Tang Yun up from her melancholy. She turned around and saw Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao, and Yushu beside her. She felt touched. She'd been in a melancholy state and didn't notice the people beside her. It was as if they didn't exist. Only now did she feel the warmth of a family. You guys, you're all here? Sorry I made you guys worry, Tang Yun said, embarrassed. Yun, what are you talking about? You're a part of this family, a good friend of ours. It's normal for us to worry about you. Meng Yao said, We didn't want to disturb you when we saw how quiet you were, but now we have something to talk to you about. Yun, look at you. You're so blessed. You already have a mom, and now you have another one, and I don't even know where my mom is in comparison. You're so much happier than me. Yeah, yeah, my mom's still in the ice coffin. I need to level up to Sky class to cure her. Yun Yun says, you're much stronger than me. Xiao Xiao said, yes, yes. My mom and dad are doing research every day, and I don't know what they're researching. We can't even see them. Yushu said, Holy Church, hee hee, thank you. Actually, I've thought it through. Tang Yin put on a smile and said to everyone, I was just a bit shocked before, and I couldn't change my mindset for a while. But now that I think about it, it's nothing. With you guys and Linny here, I'm not afraid of anything. Have you thought it through? Xiao Xiao saw the smile on Tang Yun's face and felt a little happy. She thought that Tang Yun would need a long time to think about it, at least an entire night, but she was able to think it through in one afternoon. This was a little out of her expectations. Actually, there's nothing to think about. You guys are right, although I don't feel comfortable, suddenly realizing that the parents I've lived with for 19 years aren't my real parents. They're not blood related, but they're closer than that. What's there for me to worry about? Tang Yun said. Plus, I'm an adult now, and I have a boyfriend. I'm not a kid anymore. Ha ha, let's go then. We'll go downstairs, Bingtang sis, and the others are probably waiting for us. Xiao Xiao said, All right. Tang Yin nodded and went downstairs with Xiao Xiao and the others. As expected, they saw Lin Yi with Bingtang, Qing, and Xiao Ming in the living room. The three didn't have much to talk about. Lin Yi was watching TV, and Bingtang was helplessly watching with Lin Yi. Although she could watch satellite TV in the Ice Palace, a cultivator like her was more focused on cultivation. She wasn't very interested in TV programs. You guys came down? Lin Yi saw that Tang Yun's face had returned to her usual calmness and relaxed. He knew that she had thought it through. Yes, Tang Yun was the first to nod and walk to Lin Yi's side, looking at Xiao Ming and Bingtang with a gentle gaze. Then, what should I call you guys? Anything. You can also call me Ani like Bingtang. Tang Yun's current identity was Xiao Ming's sister's daughter. After all, Tang Yun saw the bitterness on Xiao Ming's face, and her heart ached. Although she was a bit bashful, and calling out Mom made her feel awkward, Xiao Ming's helplessness at that moment made Tang Yun blurt out the word Mom. Although it was a bit shaky, it was the most difficult step she had taken. Xiao Ming was surprised and happy, and tears fell down. When she was waiting downstairs, although she didn't show it on her face, she was very worried. She was afraid that Tang Yun wouldn't recognize her, afraid that Tang Yun would think that she was here to cause trouble. But now, her heart was filled with comfort, and she replied happily. She wanted to hug Tang Yun, but her arms stopped. Mommy. Tang Yun took the initiative to hug Xiao Ming. This was an innate sense of closeness. Blood was thicker than water. Tang Yun couldn't help but be infected. This second time, she called Xiao Ming's mommy's name. It was much smoother than before. Bingtang heaved a sigh of relief. Little Qing also heaved a sigh of relief, and Lin Yi and the others were sincerely happy. Although this matter was a big matter to Tang Yun, it didn't matter much to the others. They were only nervous because they cared about Tang Yun. After a long time, the two of them separated. Tang Yun's eyes were already filled with tears. She seemed to feel the hardships Xiao Ming had gone through all these years and felt her longing for her. Tang Yun felt that it was the right decision to recognize her as her mother. Everything was settled, and all that was left was to go to Tang Yun's house. Once Tang Yun's problem was settled, Mrs. Tang and Mr. Tang's side was easy. Tang Yun didn't even need to do anything. Lin Yi could handle it himself. On the way to Tang Yun's house, when Xiao Ming didn't know what to do, Lin Yi had already made up his mind. Bingtang will definitely go back to the Ice Palace with Xiao Xiao. She can't stay here for long, so Tang Yun's life won't change much. Auntie Xiaoming, if you don't like the hidden Tang family, you can stay here and live with Tang Yun's parents. That way, you can see Tang Yun often. Lin Yi's suggestion moved Xiaoming. To be honest, she didn't have anything to miss about the hidden Tang family. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1650. She didn't have any love for Boss Tang. All her thoughts were on Tang Yun, so staying here wasn't a bad idea. But she was worried about the Hidden House Tang and Tang Yun's attitude. Would the Hidden House Tang not agree? Would they dare? Bing Tang said in disdain. It's not that I'm looking down on them, but killing them is just a matter of a thought. St. Hall. Lin Yi heard Bing Tang's words and couldn't help but click his tongue. A sky-class girl was indeed domineering, but with her ice palace's strength, it wasn't too much for her to say that. A sky-class girl is amazing. Lin Yi said, looks like I have to work hard. Ha ha. Humph. Bing Tang looked at Lin Yi coldly. Then Tang Yun, do you think it's good for me to stay here? Xiaoming cared about Tang Yun's opinion. Of course. That way, I'll have 2 moms. Tang Yun said happily. Thank you. Xiaoming was very happy to hear that Mrs. Tang packed her luggage and waited for Tang Yun and Lin Yi to come back. They said they would leave tomorrow morning, but the 2 still hadn't come back. It was already dark. And Mrs. Tang was about to call them to ask when Lin Yi and Tang Yun would come back when the doorbell rang. Why are you back so late? Did you pack your things? HM? Mrs. Tang opened the door and was talking to Tang Yun when she realized that there were 2 people standing behind Tang Yun and Lin Yi. She froze. Xiao Qing and Xiao Xiao didn't follow this time, so the people outside were naturally Xiaoming and Bing Tang. Guests? Mrs. Tang didn't look closely and asked curiously, Sis? Xiao Ming saw Mrs. Tang and felt all sorts of emotions welling up in her heart. Her tears fell again as she choked. Mrs. Tang heard someone call her sis, and the voice was very familiar as well. She paused and looked carefully. She was stunned. You're Xiaoming? Sister? Xiaoming rushed in and couldn't help but hug Mrs. Tang. She sobbed and said, Sister, it's me. Xiaoming, it's really you. You're back. Mrs. Tang originally had some resentment towards Xiaoming, but after Tang Juqing's explanation, her resentment towards Xiaoming lessened. Now that she saw Xiaoming, she couldn't help but recall the past. In an instant, all sorts of emotions welled up in her heart. She hugged Xiaoming and patted her back. Xiaoming, don't cry, don't cry. Did you suffer a lot over there? Tell Big Sis. Big Sis will let your niece-in-law vent your anger for you. Nephew, son-in-law? Isn't that Lin Yi? Hearing what Mrs. Tang said, Xiaoming almost smiled through her tears. However, thinking that they hadn't made things clear yet, she didn't say much. Lin Yi and Tang Yun, on the other hand, couldn't help but smile at each other. Tang Juqing also walked out of the room at this time. Seeing Mrs. Tang and Xiaoming hugging each other, he was stunned. What's going on? Dad, Auntie is back. Tang Yun wanted to say Mom, but she remembered that her dad didn't know the truth yet. It would be troublesome if she said it now. She might as well call her Auntie first. Holy Church, Xiaoming? Xiaoming is back? Tang Juqing was a little surprised. He looked at the woman beside, Mrs. Tang, in disbelief. Xiaoming is back. It's me, brother-in-law. Xiaoming raised her head. She was a little emotional. Brother-in-law, I'm back. It's good that you're back. It's good that you're back. All these years, brother-in-law has been feeling guilty. I shouldn't have brought you to the hidden Tang family. I brought trouble to you for no reason. Tang Juqing looked at Xiaoming and felt very sad. Although he wasn't to blame for what happened back then, it was still because of the Tang family. The hidden Tang family was also considered Tang Juqing's family. Hence, Tang Juqing always felt that he had a lot of responsibility for this. This is Tang Juqing saw Bing Tang at the door. At this moment, Bing Tang was also sizing up her biological parents. These two people were obviously much older than Boss Tang and Xiaoming. One look, and you could tell that they were ordinary people from poor families. However, the decorations of the house were very luxurious. This made Bing Tang feel strange about Tang Yun's family background. Could it be that the hard work in the early years made these two old people age prematurely? This is my cousin, also my cousin Bing Tang. Tang Yun introduced Bing Tang to her father. Then she said, Dad, Mom, don't stand at the door. Let's talk in the house. Okay. Look at how excited I am. I'm blocking the door. If the neighbors see me, they'll laugh at me. Mrs. Tang smiled bitterly and shook her head. Then she said, Come in and sit. Quick, come into the house. This must be my niece, right? She's called Bing Tang? What a nice name. Ha ha. Tang Yin chuckled dryly. Mom, I'm your niece, but this relationship, Yun, I'm not suitable to be here. I'll go back first. I'll come see you tomorrow morning. Lin, he felt that he was a bit of a hindrance here. The rest was Tang Yun's family's business. He didn't need to do anything. And that's fine. Tang Yun thought about it and nodded at Lin Yi. The scene later was indeed not suitable for Lin Yi to be here. After leaving Tang Yun's house, Lin Yi didn't care about the results of the discussion. Lin Yi couldn't participate in it, and so he drove straight back to the Chu villa. Xiao Xiaoqing, Meng Yao, and Yushu came up to him as soon as he entered the door. Lin Yi, how was it over there? Did Mrs. Tang accept them? I came back first. I didn't participate in the specifics. Lin Yi shook his head with a bitter smile. Then he said, I really can't participate in something like this. After listening to Lin Yi's words, everyone nodded silently. Lin Yi's words weren't wrong. The rest was Tang Yun's family's own business. It was a quiet night. Qing slept in the guest room, while Meng Yao, Yushu, and Xiao Xiao slept in the same room. The three hadn't seen each other in a long time, and they were very close. Xiao Xiao had been living in the villa before her illness started acting up, so they weren't unfamiliar with each other. The three started laughing and joking around on the bed. Wah, Xiao Xiao, your body is so cool. Perfect for me. I'm dying from the heat. Yushu hugged Xiao Xiao tightly. Stupid Shu, are you trying to kill me? Don't squeeze me with your big chest. I'm suffocating. Xiao Xiao pushed her away. Ha. Meng Yao couldn't help but laugh at the two's conversation. Yao, I feel like you're becoming more and more like Shield Bro, especially when you laugh. Yushu said suddenly, target equals _blank. Chapter 1651. Is that so? Meng Yao paused. Heart, I think so. Xiao Xiao nodded. Linny, honey likes to smile like that too. Maybe he learned it from me. Meng Yao, naturally, wouldn't admit that Lin Yi's influence had affected her subconsciously. Ugh. Xiao Xiao and Shu were speechless. Lin Yi, on the other hand, continued practicing in his room. He was provoked by that sky class girl, Crystal Candy, today, and Lin Yi was filled with fighting spirit and anger. Lin Yi didn't feel like this even when facing those seniors, but Crystal Candy was the only one that Lin Yi wasn't satisfied with. And so Lin Yi gritted his teeth and continued to condense the energy ball. He was determined to succeed or die trying. And so he decided to make a super energy ball tonight. Lin Yi's heart was filled with fighting spirit, and after 2 failures, he actually succeeded on the last attempt. Looking at the energy ball in his hand, Lin Yi was overjoyed. Under the stimulation of the sky class girl, Lin Yi actually managed to condense the first energy ball that would allow him to break through from golden class late phase peak to earth class early phase. Wahaha! Lin Yi really wanted to laugh heartily. He hadn't made any progress for so many days, but he succeeded after 2 attempts. How could Lin Yi not be happy? It seemed that he needed someone to spur him on, otherwise he wouldn't be able to condense the energy ball this quickly. Of course, Lin Yi had been practicing for so long, and he had already condensed it for so long. Otherwise, no matter how much crystal candy pushed him, he wouldn't have succeeded. Lin Yi was smiling, pleased with himself, when the energy ball exploded in a moment of carelessness. Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. Heart 7 asterisk. What did extreme joy beget sorrow? This was called extreme joy turning to sorrow. He'd spent so much effort to create the first energy ball that could allow him to break through to Earth class, and yet he'd accidentally caused it to explode because of his happiness. SH*T. Lin Yi's eyes widened. He looked at his empty hand in disappointment. The energy ball was gone. Ha ha! Jiao Yazi looked at Lin Yi and couldn't help but burst into laughter. Wah! I'm dying of laughter. Tell me, why are you laughing after you've condensed it? It's over, right? Lin Yi glared at Jiao Yazi and said, Don't laugh. What are you laughing at? Can I just condense it a little more? Since I succeeded once, there should be a second time. Lin Yi took a deep breath, calmed himself down, and prepared to condense the next energy ball. In the end, just when Lin Yi was full of confidence, the condensation of this energy ball failed. This made Lin Yi a little depressed, but Lin Yi wasn't discouraged. After adjusting his state, he continued to condense the energy ball. This time, Lin Yi was very careful. He didn't dare to have a trace of arrogance or impatience. He was very careful as he increased the energy inside the energy ball bit by bit. After a while, the energy ball finally filled up, and it was about to reach the numerical value that Lin Yi had set for it to level up. Lin Yi took a deep breath and rested for a while. Then he didn't dare to be negligent and started to carefully increase the energy inside the energy ball again. Finally, Lin Yi successfully condensed another energy ball. This time, Lin Yi didn't dare to laugh. After condensing the energy ball, he didn't delay and directly absorbed it into his body. He started to let the energy ball release energy inside his body. And so, Lin Yi's strength shot up like a rocket. From the peak of the late phase of the golden class, he broke through to the early phase of the mystic class, then the peak of the early phase, the middle phase, the peak of the middle phase, the late phase, and finally, the peak of the late phase. And the energy inside the energy ball hadn't been released yet. Lin Yi was surprised and happy. It seemed like it was a success this time. Lin Yi didn't dare to be negligent and continued to release the energy inside the energy ball. But this time, something strange happened. Although the energy ball was slowly releasing, Lin Yi's strength stopped at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class. Until the energy ball was completely released, Lin Yi was still at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class. But the next moment, Lin Yi's strength started to rapidly dissipate again. From the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, it was like a balloon deflating, falling all the way to a normal person. It didn't work. Lin Yi frowned. The energy he absorbed in his body was clearly enough to break through to the Earth class, but why didn't it break through? Lin Yi couldn't figure it out. He had to ask Jiao Yazi again. Jiao Lao, why didn't I break through this time? Let me ask you, when you were at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, you cultivated every day and absorbed qi, but why didn't you break through? Jiao Yazi didn't answer Lin Yi's question. 7 asterisk this. Lin Yi paused, but he instantly understood what Jiao Yazi was trying to say. You mean that this time is the same as before? It's not easy to break through from the peak of the late phase of the mystic class to the Earth class. It's not something that can be done with just enough energy. Is that right? Yes. Is there a lot of energy in the jade space? So much that you can break through to the Earth class 100 times. But why didn't you break through? That's the reason. Jiao Yazi said, breaking through requires accumulation and luck. It's not something that can be done with just enough energy. You've already taken too many shortcuts compared to others, and you're still not satisfied. That's true. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Then, what if I release all the remaining energy in the ball when I'm at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class? I don't know, but what's the difference between that and you using compressed energy to break through? Jiao Yazi said, but you can try again and see if there's any hope. I'll try. Lin Yi was helpless. He was full of confidence before, thinking that as long as he could condense the energy ball, he could break through to the Earth class. But now, it seemed like he was too naive. How could it be that easy to break through? Before his strength dropped, breaking through was already hard enough. Now that his strength dropped again, breaking through was even harder. And he was so naive to think that as long as he absorbed enough energy, he would be able to break through. Linny rested for a while and raised his strength to the peak of the late phase of the golden class. He condensed another energy ball, and this time it was successful. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1652. This time, after Linny broke through to the peak of the late phase of mystic class, he released all the remaining energy in the energy ball. Boom. The result wasn't out of Lin Yi's expectations. Not only did it not level up, but it also damaged most of his meridians. It seems like I really can't do it. Linny sighed. Could it be that I have to wait until next spring? But time waits for no man. I can't wait that long. I can't do anything about this, Jiao Yazi said, but you can ask Bingtang. Maybe she has a way. After all, she's a sky class master. Jiao Lao, tell me the truth. What's your real strength? Lin Yi suddenly thought of a question. This was a question he wanted to ask for a long time. Me? I'm not sure. Jiao Yazi shook his head and said regretfully, in this jade space, there's only a virtual body of mine, not my real body. All my memories haven't been unlocked. Only when you practice the second stage of the art of dragon mastery will some of my memories be unlocked. So I can't help you too much now. My memories are incomplete. I understand. Linny nodded. Then I'll go ask Bingtang tomorrow. This time, I might have to lower my head first. Lin Yi didn't want to lower his head to Bingtang, but he had no choice. Among the people that Lin Yi knew, only Bingtang had the highest level. If he could still contact his master, he could ask him, but ever since his master left that time, there was no news of him. Old Lin's knowledge was limited. After a night's rest, Lin Yi drove to Tang Yun's neighborhood early in the morning. He didn't know how Tang Yun's family, Bingtang, and Little Ming's conversation went. Although Lin Yi didn't think it was a big problem, he was still worried along the way. However, when Lin Yi saw Tang Yun's smiling face when she opened the door, Lin Yi's nervous heart immediately relaxed. It seemed like Tang Yun's family's problem had been solved. What do you think? Is everything done? Lin Yi asked in a low voice. Yeah, it's all taken care of. Everyone's satisfied. Tang Yun nodded. That's good. Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Yun, is that Linny? Let him come in and pay his respects to his second mother-in-law. Mrs. Tang's voice rang out, followed by the sound of footsteps. Holy Church, sis, don't spout nonsense. What second mother-in-law? That sounds so bad. Didn't we agree that in front of outsiders, I'm still Yun's Annie? The one who spoke was Xiaoming. She quickly walked out with Mrs. Tang, feeling a little embarrassed. Isn't that in front of outsiders? It's not in front of outsiders. It's in front of our family. This is our son-in-law, Xiao Yi. How is he an outsider? Mrs. Tang said, Xiaoming, you have to get used to it. Didn't we agree yesterday that you'll be living here from now on? Hee, that's mother-in-law. But Yun and I aren't married yet, so I'll call you Aunt Xiaoming. As for Mrs. Tang, it's better to call her Aunt Wang or Aunt Tang. Lin Yi said, Tang Yun's mother was called Wang Yujie, and Xiao Ming's name was Wang Yuming. Lin Yi could only call them that. Okay, we'll call them that. Xiao Ming nodded. Bingtang, what are you doing? You stupid child. Come and meet your brother-in-law. After all, they were mother and daughter. In just one night, Mrs. Tang and Bingtang became familiar. Mrs. Tang didn't care whether Bingtang was a heaven-class master or the palace master of Ice Palace. She was her own flesh and blood. She didn't hold back when she spoke to her. Of course, although Bingtang was her own flesh and blood, Tang Yun was still more important in Mrs. Tang's heart. After all, she raised Tang Yun since she was young. But she also liked Bingtang. Who wouldn't be happy to have two daughters at once? Last night, they talked until very late and confirmed their relationship. Tang Yun and Bingtang both called Wang Yujie mommy, while Tang Yun called Xiao Ming mommy at home. Outside, she called Xiao Ming Annie. This was also because she didn't want the neighbors to gossip about this matter if they knew the truth. As for Bingtang, she naturally called Xiao Ming auntie. Actually, this family of four was basically equivalent to two mothers and two children. She's a heaven-class girl. Of course, she's arrogant. My brother-in-law is too weak, and she looks down on him, Linny said purposely. Bingtang looked at Lin Yi coldly, furious. She didn't like this spoiled bastard. If it weren't for Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao, how could a high and mighty heaven class have anything to do with Lin Yi? And this guy was annoying, too. He didn't respect her at all and gave her a nickname, Heaven Class Girl. What kind of ridiculous nickname was that? It was horrible. Who dared to call her a Heaven Class Girl in front of the master of Ice Palace? Bingtang was furious, but she didn't expect Mrs. Tang to start nagging before she could say anything. Bingtang, she asked you to come over. You really have a tough life, kid. You were dumped by that damned Hidden House Tang before, and now you're a step too late. Otherwise, he would have been your boyfriend, and Ian wouldn't have had a chance. Mrs. Tang nagged again. That's right. Bingtang almost fell to the ground after hearing Mrs. Tang's words. Linny, what was so good about this guy? Was it because he was too late? Even if she came earlier, she couldn't have found him. Could she? Brother-in-law, I'm waiting for the day you surpass Heaven Class and become a mystic first-level refiner. Bingtang gritted her teeth as she spoke to Lin Yi. Oh, soon, but I'm afraid that Tang Yun won't accept you, Lin Yi said faintly. Won't accept what? What are you guys talking about? Tang Yun didn't understand what Lin Yi and Bingtang were talking about. Nothing, Bingtang said with a dark face. At noon, Lin Yi booked a table at Pingzhan Business Hotel and invited Tang Yun's family for lunch. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Qing naturally came as well. Tang Yun's family's business was settled, and everyone had no more pressure. Everyone was chatting and laughing happily. Only Rock Candy remained cold and serious. She would only force a smile when Mrs. Tang called out to her, enjoying the warmth of familial love. Mrs. Tang, on the other hand, was a little emotional as she looked at Tang Yun, then back at Rock Candy. Man, suddenly finding out that Yun isn't my biological daughter, I really can't talk about her like I used to in the future. Tang Yun sighed. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1653. Mom, what are you talking about? Tang Yin said, I'm still your daughter. I was and I still am. You can say whatever you want. I'm listening. Yeah, I'm the one who needs to be careful. Don't let Tang Yin hate me. Xiao Ming smiled. 7 asterisk. I still have to go back to the Ice Palace. I'll leave Mom and Ani here to you. Tang Yun, take care of them for me. Bingtang sighed. She enjoyed the warmth of a family, but it was far away from her. She would still be the high and mighty palace master once she returned to the Ice Palace. After dinner, Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Xiao Xiao, Qing, Xiao Ming, Bingtang, and Tang Yun's parents prepare to go to the Hidden House Tang. Xiao Ming wanted to tell old Tang that she would be staying in Songshan, but she didn't dare say it herself. She could only let Bingtang do it. The Miss and Shu wanted to go as well, but this was the Hidden House Tang's birthday banquet, and they didn't have any relationship with the Tang family. There was no reason for them to go, and it wouldn't be interesting anyway. So Meng Yao and Yushu stayed at home. Lin Yi, come with me. Bingtang called Lin Yi to Tang Yun's room before they left. Holy Hall, oh. Lin Yi paused, but seeing Tang Yun's eye signal, he followed Bingtang into Tang Yun's room. You haven't recovered your strength yet, right? Bingtang glanced at Lin Yi and asked faintly, Not yet. Do you have a way? Lin Yi was surprised that Bingtang would bring this up, but thinking about it, Tang Yun must have said something to her last night. As expected, Bingtang continued, If it wasn't for Tang Yun speaking up for you, I wouldn't have bothered thinking about you. Ha. Lin Yi laughed at himself. Yeah, he was a mystic, and he wasn't even a mystic anymore. If it weren't for this nepotism, Bingtang wouldn't have spent so much effort on him. But Lin Yi was a proud and stubborn person. After laughing, he said, Count it as the second favor I owe you. If I have the chance, I'll pay it back. No need. I've thought about it, but I still can't help you. Rock Candy said, If it's Xiao Xiao, I can use my own true qi to forcibly transfer it into her body to help her break through. I'd rather lose some of my strength. As long as Xiao Xiao, Yun Yun, and Mom are happy, I'll help you. However, our physiques and the mental cultivation methods we cultivate are far from each other. I heard from Xiao Xiao that you cultivate a mental cultivation method of extreme yang attribute. If I transfer my true qi to you, you will basically go berserk. You won't be able to refine my qi for your own. Lin Yi agreed with Bingtang's words. If it was just a small amount of different qi, Lin Yi could forcefully refine it. But if it was too much different qi, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to refine it. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was starting to get a little envious of Nai Peo. This guy's practitioner's arts were quite powerful, being able to refine different types of qi from different people. He didn't reject anyone, however much he wanted. But Lin Yi was the opposite. Lin Yi could turn the energy in his body into other people's qi, no matter how much he wanted. It was the complete opposite of Nai Peo. Saint Hall, comparatively speaking, they each had their own strengths. But at this stage, Nai Peo's arts were more useful for Lin Yi's current situation. Then, other than waiting for spring next year, I'll make the antidote. Is there no other way? Lin Yi asked, a little regretful. I haven't thought of one yet, but from what I've seen, you should have a way to recover your strength quickly, right? Bingtang asked. Nai Peo sucked all of your strength dry, and you recovered in one night. You even broke through. It's impossible without some secret technique. That's true. Lin Yi didn't hide it. This had happened in the Ice Palace's turf, and there was no way the sect master would know about it. She just didn't know the specifics. As a result, Lin Yi said honestly, I've tried to recover many times, but once I reach Mystic, my strength drops like water, so I can only recover to Golden Class late phase peak for now. You want to use this method to break through to Earth Class? Bingtang was very smart. She understood Lin Yi's intentions right away. After all, Lin Yi knew that recovering to Mystic would decrease his strength, and yet he did it so many times it was obvious that he wanted to use this method to break through to Earth Class. Otherwise, he'd just give up if it didn't work once or twice. Why would he keep on doing it? Yes, Lin Yi nodded. Then, what's the most you can recover to? Bingtang said after a sigh. Mystic late phase peak. Lin Yi said, I can go even more, but I'm limited by my strength before, and I haven't broken through to Earth Class yet. I haven't broken through after recovering, and it's very hard to find the right opportunity to do so. Oh, you can get to Mystic late phase peak in one go? Bingtang was a bit surprised. She didn't expect Lin Yi to be this strong. It's all right, but it's useless. I can't break through, and I'll still drop. Lin Yi said, If that's the case, then I do have a way for you to break through to Earth Class, but there will be some drawbacks. Bingtang frowned. and said, after some hesitation, "Let's hear it." Lin Yi asked, "As long as there was hope, it was fine." "That qi-gathering pill, is it still on you?" Bing Tang asked. "I remember that you said you had a qi-gathering pill that you wanted to trade for the fruit." "Yes, it's still there." Lin Yi nodded. He could guess what Bing Tang was trying to say. "You're saying that you want me to use the qi-gathering pill? Aren't qi-gathering pills supposed to be used when breaking through to sky class when you're at peak late phase? You can use it for mystic late phase peak to break through to earth class, but it's a bit of a waste." Bing Tang said it can be used as an experience pill, and it can also be used as a miracle pill for breaking through. But after you use it once, the natural qi in the air will lose its effect on you. If you want to train again, you'll have to continue using the qi-gathering pill to increase your strength. The qi in it is too pure. Even the spirit vein in the ice palace can't compare to it. "I see." Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief after listening to Bing Tang's words. The natural qi in the air was useless to Lin Yi anymore in terms of purity. What could be more pure than the energy in the jade space? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1654. This was the purest form of energy. It could be converted into whatever type of qi it wanted, and the qi-gathering pill, at most, would be as pure as the energy in the jade space, or even less. So Lin Yi wasn't afraid of the side effects of using the pill, preventing him from continuing his training. Holy Church, however, to waste this qi-amassing pill just like there was really a pity using it when breaking through to Earth class. Probably only Lin Yi would do this, but there was no other way, and Lin Yi was already thankful that he had this method. "You want to use it?" Bing Tang saw Lin Yi's expression, and guess what he was thinking? Yeah, Lin Yi didn't deny it. "Right now, this is the only way, why not? Have you thought about the consequences? You might be stuck at Earth class for the rest of your life if you can't become a refiner and continue making qi-gathering pills," Bing Tang reminded. "That's impossible," Lin Yi said. "You..." Bing Tang was pissed off by Lin Yi's words. She was being kind, but if Lin Yi was stuck at Earth class for the rest of his life, what would happen to Feng Xiaoxiao? Tang Yun was a normal person, so it didn't matter, but Xiaoxiao was someone who wanted to pursue the heavenly Tao. She couldn't be with an Earth class practitioner. So for Xiaoxiao's sake, Bing Tang tried to convince Lin Yi to give up, but Lin Yi didn't seem to care about the side effects of the qi-gathering pill at all. "Thanks, I'm going to use the qi-gathering pill. Before we leave, I want to break through to Earth class," Lin Yi said to Bing Tang. "Think about it carefully, don't hurt yourself and others." "Waiting for a year might not be a big deal," Bing Tang said. "Ha, Sky class girl. Are you afraid that I won't be able to marry you if I stay at Earth class?" Lin Yi turned around and teased. "Fuck off," Bing Tang said faintly. Bing Charcoal indifferently said this one word. His heart was burning with rage, and he didn't want to care about this guy anymore. If he wanted to eat, then eat. And so, Lin Yi found a quiet room in Tang Yun's house and began his breakthrough journey based on Lin Yi's previous experience. Lin Yi prepared the qi-gathering pill and placed it beside him. Then, he entered the space in the jade pendant and began to condense the energy ball. Due to his previous experience, the speed and quality of Lin Yi's energy ball condensation this time had greatly improved. Now that he had succeeded on his first try, he didn't need to do it a second time. It was a walk in the park. Lin Yi wasn't worried about this. If he couldn't condense it the first time, he could condense it the second time. At most, it would just waste some time. The most important thing was that the moment he reached mystic late phase peak, Lin Yi needed to use the qi-gathering pill. He couldn't use it too early or too late. He needed to grasp the timing. Bing Tang had said that this pill could be used as an experience pill, and it could also be used as a miracle pill for breakthroughs. There were two different effects, and Lin Yi used it as a miracle pill for breakthroughs. What if he didn't reach mystic late phase peak? If he used it directly, It'd be a disaster if the pill only served as an experience pill and didn't help him break through. That'd be terrible. Holy Church, and if he took it too late and dropped a level again, it would still be equivalent to an experience pill. So he couldn't miss this opportunity. After taking a deep breath, Lin Yi quickly absorbed the energy ball into his body and used the energy ball's energy to break through. His strength rose all the way from golden late phase peak to mystic late phase peak. In an instant, Lin Yi exited the jade space, but his body was still using the art of dragon mastery to control the energy ball to slowly release the remaining energy. This way, it could ensure that Lin Yi wouldn't drop a level immediately, and it could also ensure that the remaining energy wouldn't blow up Lin Yi's meridians. Lin Yi grabbed the chi gathering pill and swallowed it. In an instant, a warm current flowed from Lin Yi's abdomen to the rest of his body, and it was as if his meridians were on fire. Lin Yi didn't try to resist it, but let it develop naturally. He gritted his teeth and waited for the follow-up to develop. After all, Lin Yi didn't know what would happen after using the chi-gathering pill. This time, he was just trying it out. This burning feeling was getting stronger and stronger, and Lin Yi felt like he was on fire. But even so, Lin Yi gritted his teeth and persevered. This feeling was a little familiar. It was a little like when he broke through for the first time, but it was a little different. It also had the burning feeling of using compressed chi to force a breakthrough. Although it wasn't as domineering, Lin Yi could feel that his clothes were about to be burnt. But no matter what, this was a good thing. Although Lin Yi felt uncomfortable, he was very happy. The more painful it was, the more similar feeling he had when he broke through, the more stable Lin Yi's heart felt. If he didn't feel anything, then Lin Yi would be depressed, because the chi-gathering pill was his last chance. The energy in the energy ball in his body was finally released, but to Lin Yi's relief, his strength didn't start to dissipate. Instead, in an instant, the aura in the air gathered and hovered above Lin Yi's head, forming an extremely weak vortex. Rock Candy was right. The aura in the natural world was really scarce, especially in the city. However, this aura was only automatically gathered during a breakthrough. This time, Lin Yi's breakthrough relied on the chi-gathering pill, not the aura. Therefore, the amount of the aura was not important to Lin Yi. To put it bluntly, the aura in the world resonated with the chi in Lin Yi's body. It circulated around Lin Yi's body rapidly, faster and faster, and Lin Yi felt that his body temperature was getting higher and higher. Lin Yi could even smell something burning. It was his clothes. The clothes on Lin Yi's body had turned into pieces and fell to the ground. However, Lin Yi didn't care about this anymore. As long as he could break through, it wouldn't be a problem, even if he burned the house down. At most, he would let Fatty Life find someone to decorate it. In the previous few breakthroughs, Lin Yi did it in the jade space, and the burnt clothes were also virtual clothes in the jade space, so it didn't affect the outside world. But this time, Lin Yi broke through outside the jade space, and the movement was a little bigger. Although ordinary people couldn't feel heaven and earth's spiritual energy, Rock Candy could feel it. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1655. She looked at Lin Yi's room and couldn't help but frown. It seemed like Lin Yi was about to break through. He had taken the chi-gathering pill after all. She didn't know where Lin Yi got his confidence from, but based on her observation of Lin Yi, this guy always had a trump card up his sleeve when he did things, and he had a lot of them. Could it be that this time Lin Yi had a trump card as well? Thinking of this, she suddenly had a faint worry. Did this mean that Lin Yi had the possibility to surpass Sky Class and step in a heaven's path? And could he really become a mystic first-level refiner? If Lin Yi really did it, wouldn't she have to fulfill her promise and become his little wife? She couldn't help but blush, and then her face darkened. Impossible, right? This guy couldn't be that strong, right? Humph, she was worrying too much. He was just a mystic master, and he had just stepped into Earth class after taking the chi gathering pill. How could a practitioner like this compare to Heaven's path? And Lin wasn't even a golden first level refiner. How could he become a mystic first level refiner? It was completely impossible. She comforted herself in her heart. Holy Hall, however, although normal people couldn't feel the chi of heaven and earth, they could smell the burnt smell. The most nervous people were Tang Yun and Feng Xiaoxiao. Tang Yun looked at the closed door and asked nervously, Bing Tang sis, will Lin be okay? He shouldn't be. Bing Tang didn't know. She had never taken the chi gathering pill before, and no one in the Ice Palace had either. She didn't know what would happen after taking it, so she could only give a vague answer. Just as he was speaking, he heard a loud boom coming from behind the closed door. It was earth-shattering and deafening, and even the ground trembled. The loud noise startled Tang Yin's family. What happened? Did something happen to Linny, hubby? Xiao Xiao was panicking. She'd gone from a normal person to golden class early phase before, and she'd never made such a big commotion. So, this explosion from Lin E made her jump. Lin E, honey can't explode, right? Yeah, Sister Bing Tang, what happened to Lin E? Let's go check it out. Tang Yin was getting anxious. Mrs. Tang and Xiao Ming were also very anxious. After all, Lin E was their son-in-law. They didn't know what happened to Lin Yi's loud noise, so they looked at Rock Candy helplessly. Shall we go and take a look? Rock Candy was also a little hesitant. He can't be disturbed when he is breaking through. Why don't I go take a look first? You guys wait here. After all, I am also a cultivator, and a peak late-stage heaven rank at that. I can hide my aura and not disturb Lin Yi's breakthrough. And that's good. Rock Candy sis, hurry up and take a look. Tang Yun said anxiously. Rock Candy didn't have a choice. She was the strongest here, so she could only go check it out. This was the first time she'd heard of a huge explosion during cultivation, and she didn't have much experience. So, she carefully went to Lin Yi's room, hid her aura, and tiptoed in. She raised her head and was about to check what was going on when she suddenly realized that Lin Yi was sitting on the ground without a stitch on his body. This was the first time she saw a mature man without clothes, and she froze. She didn't know what to do. What was Lin Yi doing, not wearing clothes while cultivating? Rock Candy screamed and ran out of the room with a red face. She was really shocked, but one thing was for sure, Lin Yi was fine. Other than being naked, he was completely fine. What's wrong, Rock Candy sis? What happened to Lin Yi? Tang Yun saw Rock Candy's expression and thought that she had seen something horrifying. So she quickly asked, Yeah, senior sis, what happened to Lin Yi's honey? Xiao Xiao was shocked as well. No, it's okay. He's fine. Bing Tang blushed and stuttered. She didn't know what to say. At this moment, her heart was still beating wildly. The image of Lin Yi without clothes flashed in her mind. Bing Tang was furious. This bastard, he didn't wear clothes when he practiced. What kind of habit was this? Nothing? Then you... Tang Yun looked at Rock Candy suspiciously, but because she was worried about Lin Yi, she walked quickly to the room, and Xiao Xiao followed behind her into Lin Yi's room. Tang Yun was shocked when she saw the scene in the room. Her face was red, but she didn't react as much as Rock Candy. After all, she and Lin Yi were boyfriend and girlfriend, and the two weren't that close. This situation made Tang Yun shy, but she didn't panic. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, didn't gasp. She was shocked as well, but she said something that shocked Tang Yun even more. Wow, Lin Yi honey is so rich. We'll be happy from now on. Tang Yun was fine at first, but Xiao Xiao's words made her face as red as the sunset. She coughed awkwardly. What are you talking about, Xiao Xiao? Let's go out. Since Lin Yi is fine, let's not disturb his cultivation. Oh, okay, but I still want to see more. Xiao Xiao mumbled to herself, I can only feast my eyes now. I can't go up until I break through to Sky Class. Tang Yun staggered and almost fell on the ground. She was practically running away, dragging Xiao Xiao out of the room. She looked at the blushing Rock Candy and gave her an apologetic look. I'm sorry, Rock Candy sis. I didn't know it would be like this. It's nothing. I didn't see anything. Naturally, Rock Candy wouldn't admit what she saw. This Lin Yi was a jinx. Nothing good would come out of meeting him. She'd really stained her eyes. Liar. You must have seen it. Why else would you blush? Compared to Tang Yun, Xiao Xiao was more familiar with Rock Candy. She didn't hesitate to expose Rock Candy's lie. I didn't see it clearly either. Rock Candy was so angry she wanted to kick Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao lowered her voice. You must have seen it clearly. Never mind, as a small wife, I won't hold you responsible anymore. Otherwise, you would have been seen for nothing. Rock Candy couldn't help but get pissed. Being seen for nothing? I didn't even say anything about holding him responsible, and you're not holding me responsible anymore. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1656. Lin Yi knew what was going on outside, but Lin Yi had just broken through, and the qi in his body hadn't been adjusted yet. He couldn't move or speak, and so he could only let Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao come in and out, unable to explain himself. Lin Yi could only smile bitterly at the girls' conversation outside the door. After about 10 minutes, Lin Yi finally adjusted the qi in his body, and his strength stabilized as well. Lin Yi was now an Earth-class early phase master. Phew, this feels great. Lin Yi stood up, feeling that his hearing, sight, and senses were all much clearer. The feeling of an Earth class was completely different from when he was at Mystic class, as if he had taken a leap in quality. This feeling made Lin Yi feel great. He didn't know why Boss Yu was afraid of Lin Yi, who was at the peak of Mystic mid-phase. It was a bit unbelievable. Even if this guy was afraid of death, he shouldn't be afraid to this extent, right? Lin Yi now felt that facing someone below Earth class was like playing a game. It was a very easy thing to do. Even if there were 3 or 4 Mystic class masters surrounding him, Lin Yi felt that he could handle it easily. Of course, this might have something to do with the practitioner's arts. Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery was stronger, and Boss Yu's wasn't that strong. 7*. Looking at the clothes on the ground, Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He didn't train in the Jade Space this time, so his clothes were ruined. Luckily, Lin Yi was preparing to go to the Hidden House Tang, and he had some clothes in his luggage. Lin Yi took out his phone and called Tang Yun. Tang Yun saw that Lin Yi was calling and was confused. Are you okay? And I'm fine. Take out a set of clothes from your luggage and send it to me. My clothes are ruined. Lin Yi said with a bitter smile, if you are embarrassed, you can ask Xiao Xiao to send it in. And, okay. Tang Yun felt a little embarrassed thinking about the situation just now. Tang Yun sis, is that Lin Yi's husband? What's wrong with him? Xiao Xiao asked after Tang Yun hung up. Yes, it's him. He's fine. He wants some clothes to be sent to him. His clothes seem to be ruined. Tang Yun said. Okay, leave it to me. I'll go get it for him. Xiao Xiao volunteered before Tang Yun could say anything. She wanted to go get the clothes for Lin Yi. Holy Church? Ha! Okay. Tang Yun was speechless. Compared to Xiao Xiao, she was still a little too cowardly. That was true. She heard that a lot of couples her age already went to the hotel to get a room. Tang Yun also heard a few guys and girls talking about getting a room at night after the exams. So this kind of thing was very common among couples nowadays. But Tang Yun was a more conservative person. She decided to follow Lin Yi, and she acknowledged Lin Yi in her heart. She just wasn't ready yet. Luckily, Lin Yi didn't force her, and that made her happy. she found a set of Lin Yi's clothes and excitedly sent it to Lin Yi's room. "Linny, honey, for you." "Okay. Thanks, just wait for me outside." Lin Yi took the clothes and felt a little awkward when he saw Xiao Xiao's eyes staring at him. "Hee hee, you've already seen me. If I don't look at you, wouldn't I be losing out?" Xiao Xiao smiled. "Plus, I'm your small wife. Are you afraid of looking? I'm here. You can change." "Ugh. Okay." Lin Yi shook his head helplessly as he looked at the tough Xiao Xiao. He was slowly getting used to this girl who dared to love and hate. Just like the first time he got close to her at the auction in Yanjing when she asked if he wanted to touch her breasts. That was how he got to know her personality. And so Lin Yi didn't hold back this time and changed right in front of Xiao Xiao. "Wow, Lin Yi, honey, is so handsome. Hug me," Xiao Xiao said as she jumped onto Lin Yi. Lin Yi could only pick her up and spin around on the ground. He didn't hide his strength after breaking through, and Xiao Xiao was a practitioner now. When Lin Yi wasn't hiding his strength, she could feel it. She was surprised. "Lin Yi, honey, you've broken through to Earth class? That's fast." "Ha! Aren't you faster? According to that Sky class girl of yours, you'll break through to Sky class soon. I need to work hard as well," Lin Yi said. "Hee hee, it won't be that fast. It'll take at least 2 years. I'll have to wait for you to become a refiner first." Xiao Xiao smiled. "I'll wait for you. Okay, I'll fulfill my promise and become a refiner." Lin Yi said, "Trust me, that day won't be too long." "Okay, I know. I'll wait for you." Xiao Xiao sighed and jumped off Lin Yi. Actually, becoming an inheritor isn't necessarily a bad thing. You have to know that inheritors are the highest existences in every ancient sect. Many people want to become inheritors, but they can't. Becoming an inheritor means that you have to do that thing. But once that thing is done, there's a chance that you'll break through to Sky class and step into Sky class. That's a whole new realm, a realm that all Sky class masters dream of reaching. Only when you reach that realm can you learn more profound martial arts and techniques, and your lifespan and strength will increase as well. Pursuing greater strength was the dream and goal of every cultivator. Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Xiao Xiao would change her mindset like this. She wasn't a practitioner before, so naturally she'd find it hard to choose between inheriting and doing something dangerous. But once Xiao Xiao stepped onto the path of practicing and looked at things from a practitioner's point of view, her perspective and thoughts would be completely different. Wasn't Lin Yi always chasing after greater strength? In this period of time, he'd done many dangerous things in order to level up, things like compressing qi and now using qi-gathering pills, which one of them wasn't filled with unknown dangers. But Lin Yi still gave it a try. This was the pursuit of higher realms as a practitioner. Xiao Xiao was no exception. She wanted to become an inheritor. She wanted to step into Sky class and pursue Sky class. There was nothing wrong with that, and Lin Yi wouldn't stop her. In fact, he'd support her. After saying all that, Xiao Xiao kept worrying about Lin Yi's reaction. After all, she was different from Lin Yi. She was an inheritor, and her training conditions were exceptional. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1657. But Lin Yi didn't have such good conditions. Lin Yi had to rely on himself to level up bit by bit. And so Xiao Xiao was afraid that Lin wouldn't be happy that she was so much stronger than him. She was worried that Lin Yi wouldn't be happy that she was so much stronger than him. If Lin Yi didn't want her to be the inheritor, then Xiao Xiao would listen to Lin Yi without hesitation and give up on the inheritance, waiting for Lin Yi to make the ice heart pill for Bingtang and make her the inheritor. Holy Hall, I didn't think you'd think it through so quickly. Lin Yi didn't think much of it. Xiao Xiao was overthinking things. On one hand, Lin Yi wanted his woman to be strong, and on the other, Lin Yi had confidence in himself. It was just Sky class, right? He had the jade as a cheat, and he had the art of dragon mastery, an ancient practitioner's art. How could he lose to a mere ice palace inheritance? So Lin Yi wasn't worried about being left behind by Xiao Xiao. Quite the contrary, he was very supportive. Pursuing higher realms of martial arts is the ultimate goal of every practitioner. You're on the path of practicing now. It's normal for you to have this thought. But I won't let you be the inheritor alone. I'll make an ice heart jade bone pill for Crystal Candy and let her accompany you as you inherit. That way, you'll be in less danger. If anything happens, let her be the scapegoat. Buffed. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but laugh. Lin Yi, honey, you're so naughty. Senior sister's going to be pissed when she hears that. Although Xiao Xiao said that, she was actually very happy inside. Lin Yi cared about her. And not only did he respect her choice, but he also protected her training as much as he could. Holy Hall, she won't be pissed to death. She'll be happy, Lin Yi said faintly, having the ice heart pill as her dream. Why would she be angry? That's true, but she's really nice to me. Even if you didn't say anything, she wouldn't let me be in danger, Xiao Xiao said. Lin Yi nodded. He could see that Bingtang was very protective of Xiao Xiao. The two of them walked out of the room together. Tang Yin quickly walked up and asked about Lin Yi's well-being, while the Heaven Stage girl turned her face away and didn't look at Lin Yi. A faint blush appeared on her face. This qi-gathering pill actually blew up his clothes when he broke through. How scary! Lin Yi seemed to be talking to himself, but in fact, he was explaining the previous embarrassment to Rock Candy. This sudden incident was not the intention of Lin Yi, but an accident. This qi convergence pill actually blew up my clothes when I broke through. That's really scary. Holy Hall. Lin Yi seemed to be talking to himself, but in fact, he was explaining the awkwardness to Rock Candy. This sudden incident was not the intention of Lin Yi, but an accident. Rock Candy hemmed softly, but after hearing Lin Yi's explanation, her face relaxed quite a bit. The news of Lin Yi being poisoned by the 5-step dissipation spread like the wind through the noble houses and hidden houses. With the help of the hidden house Xiao, almost everyone knew about it. But although everyone knew about it, no one dared to cause trouble for Lin Yi. When the Xiao family heard about Lin Yi being poisoned, they immediately told the hidden house Pai, but they only said faintly that they understood, and then there was no more news. The hidden house Pai wasn't stupid. If the Xiao family knew about it, how could they not know about it? And it was the hidden house Xiao who'd spread the news on purpose, too. They'd heard about it before they could. And after a family meeting, they'd come to the conclusion that Lin Yi couldn't be judged by common sense. They'd even said that he'd lost his strength last time, and now Uncle Pai was killed. The second time, they were even more unlucky. Pai Yang and Mr. Pai were even more unlucky. They were killed by Gooden with one punch. So, even if Lin Yi had lost his strength, there was still Gooden, whose condition was unknown. Messing with him at this time was not a smart choice. So, under Pai Zhishan's suggestion, House Pai decided to wait and see. Of course, Pai Zhishan didn't know that this Lin Yi was the Ling Yi he met in the test. And the only families that had enmity with Lin Yi were the hidden house Xiao, the common house Yu, and the Xiao family. As for the others, the head of the Golden Bell sect and their prized disciple were either dead or crippled. Naturally, they wouldn't cause trouble for Lin Yi. If the hidden house Pai didn't do anything, how would the Xiao family have the guts to cause trouble for Lin Yi? As for the common house Yu, although they hated Lin Yi to the core, they had to prepare for the noble house meeting. So, they didn't have the time to deal with Lin Yi. The problem was that the common house Yu had no one left, and the only practitioners who could walk were Yu Shuixing and Yu Feng. House Yu was the host of the noble house meeting, and they had too much work to do. Why would they go to Songshan to cause trouble for Lin Yi? Plus, Yu Feng had just crippled Qin Yuqian. This was the time to avoid suspicion, so they couldn't go to Songshan. And so, the matter of Lin Yi losing his strength was left unsettled. Pinliang and Naipeo weren't practitioners, and the snake bites and five-step disperser didn't cause any problems. They were fine after getting disinfected at the hospital. Chen Shi, on the other hand, was also affected by the poison, but she wasn't a true practitioner, so Boss Shu didn't have to worry about her. Chen Shi was cultivated by the hidden Zhao family as a cultivation cauldron. The so-called cultivation cauldron was a tool for other people to cultivate and absorb Jin Qi. The hidden Zhao family heard that a certain powerful person cultivated an evil heart sutra and needed a lot of cultivation cauldrons. Chen Shi's physique just happened to be the most powerful type of cultivation cauldron, a fire-type cultivation cauldron. Therefore, in order to please this powerful person, the hidden Zhao family had already started planning this plan a long time ago. They wanted Chen Shi to be a chess piece of the hidden Zhao family cultivated by Big Zhu. Actually, every hidden family was scheming. They were all thinking of ways to get in touch with the ancient sects and families in order to seek help, while helping them stabilize their position. It would be best if they could raise their position and obtain some benefits. This was something that these people dreamed of. As a cauldron, Chen Shi naturally didn't have to worry about losing her strength because her body wasn't a practitioner's qi. She was trying to purify her fire element cauldron body. Otherwise, Lin Yi would have known that Chen Shi was a practitioner the moment he laid eyes on her, and there was no way he wouldn't be able to find out. And so, the matter passed, disappointing the hidden house Zhao, especially Boss Zhu. He felt like he had wasted his effort in poisoning Lin Yi, and he still couldn't do anything to Lin Yi. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1658. In the floating cloud bar, Zhao Qibing and the others were sitting in a row, having a short meeting. Master Bing, I can't accept this. I went to Lin Yi's villa to wait for him yesterday, and Lin Yi had a guest. Lin Yi didn't hide his strength when he came out to greet them, and from what I can see, Lin Yi is only golden class late phase peak. Boss Shu said, he can recover his strength, but he can only go back to golden class late phase peak. Any more, and he'll lose his strength again, turning into a normal person. Are you sure? Qibing frowned. His heart skipped a beat. Did Lin Yi discover you and purposely release his strength for you to see? He's not trying to trick us, is he? Zhao Qibing's legs had been broken by Lin Yi a couple of times, and he was a little afraid of Lin Yi. He was starting to get paranoid. It can't be, right? My camouflage ability is very strong. In my early years, I obtained a secret book on Qi Men Xianjia that can hide my Jin Qi. Even a sky-ranked master wouldn't be able to detect me. Boss Zhu said the secret book to turn Qin Shi into a cultivation furnace came from this book. I see. So you're saying we'll do it on our own? Zhao Qibing didn't want to, but he didn't dare do it. Elder Bai had already spoken, and if he did something behind his back and Elder Bai found out, wouldn't he be disappointed in him? Master Bing, I can ambush Lin Yi on the way, and you can say that you didn't know about this and that I did it on my own to avenge my brother, Boss Shu said after some thought. Bullshit. Do you think my master's an idiot? Zhao Qibing waved his hand, denying Boss Shu's idea. You're my man now, and everyone knows that. Do you think Zhao Qikun won't make a big deal out of this? I'm being presumptuous. Boss Shu thought about it and agreed. He had been loyal to the Zhao family for so many years. How could he suddenly act on his own? Didn't that mean they were under Zhao Qibing's orders? Thinking of this, Boss Shu broke out in a cold sweat. He thought that Master Bing was very thoughtful. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster. Forget it. This is really depressing. I've prepared for so long, but in the end, it's all for naught. Qibing said unhappily. This hidden house pie is too cowardly. They don't even dare to make a move. Boss Shu could only smile bitterly. Hidden house, Zhao didn't make a move, and hidden house pie wasn't reckless either. Plus, the hidden house pie didn't have any direct conflict with Lin E. They just had some conflicts with him through the Xiao family. They didn't really hate Lin E that much. Right? I heard that there's a sect that specializes in assassinations. As long as you pay them, you can make them deal with people just like assassins. Is that right? Zhao Qibing was a practitioner now, and as he walked towards the core of House Xiao, he knew more and more about the world. St. Hall, there is. Boss Shu nodded. Master Bing, you're saying that we should ask them for help? Can I? Zhao Qibing asked. Money is not a problem. I have some. It's not impossible. It's just that these people are hard to deal with. Unless it's absolutely necessary, no one would ask them for help. Boss Shu said, this sect is called Blood Cloak Underworld Sect. The entire sect trains assassins, but because of their uniqueness, they don't have many dealings with them. How much would it cost to kill Lin Yi? Zhao Qibing could only ask for outside help. Since House Xiao wouldn't do it, he'd hire someone to do it. I'll have to ask around. I don't know the details. Boss Shu said, Master Bing, if you've decided, I'll ask someone to help you contact them. But Blood Cloak Underworld Sect has a rule: they never leave empty-handed. Since they're here to discuss business, they won't leave empty-handed. Whether you accept their price or not, you'll have to pay them the travel fee. Otherwise, I heard that they killed a client who didn't want to pay. That's why normal people don't want to contact them. Oh, then ask them how much it is. Zhao Qibing gritted his teeth. As long as it's not too ridiculous, it's fine. All right, Master Bing, I'll contact them now. After confirming, Boss Shu went to contact the Blood Cloak Underworld Sect. In the afternoon, the Blood Cloak Underworld Sect came. They were two men in black, looking very arrogant, as if they didn't care about Zhao Qibing, the young master of the hidden house Zhao. Master Bing, these two are the contacts of Blood Cloak Underworld Sect. They're both golden class late phase peak masters. Boss Shu whispered to Zhao Qibing. Two masters at the peak of the late phase of the golden class were this powerful. Zhao Qibing frowned. Wasn't this too arrogant? Boss Shu seemed to have seen through Qibing's thoughts as he whispered, they're just contacts. Contacts? Was that a master of the peak late phase of the golden class? Zhao Qibing sucked in a breath of cold air. This meant that these two did have the right to be arrogant. Although they weren't that strong, a master at the peak of the late phase of the golden class was just a small fry in the Blood Cloak Underworld Sect. Just how powerful was the force behind them? These two did have the right to be arrogant. They weren't arrogant because of their strength, but because of the force they represented. You two, I'm sure you know what I'm here for. Name your price. How much do you want to kill this person? Qibing put a photo in front of the two black-clothed informants. These two had the right to be arrogant, but Qibing wasn't very respectful towards them. He was a hidden house, a strong contender for the future head of the house, and it was impossible for him to bow and scrape to these two. How strong is this person? One of the men asked. Golden class late phase peak, the same as you two, Zhao Qibing said. Golden class late phase peak. The man frowned and looked at Zhao Qibing strangely before turning to Boss Shu. Could it be that your hidden house Zhao can't even handle a person at the peak of the late phase of the golden class? Do you know the consequences of lying to the blood-clad Yellow Spring sect? Target equals _blank that you're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.